lgstories.com/Carl.
An airliner without warning plunges into the Gulf of Alaska. No one knows why. There are no survivors. Then loved ones are left to wonder.
What happened to Flight 293?
Unsolved Histories. What happened to Flight 293? Listen wherever you get your...
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma.
This hour is brought to you by the Harnish Auto family.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Heward and Matt Marcus. Sorry about Mike.
Heward, not exactly Joe Cap there in the pocket.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Heward and Mike Salk.
All right, we are underway here. It's the Brock and Salk Show, Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com, Seattle Sports app, podcast platforms, all of them, everywhere. Let's talk about the app for a moment or two. First of all, today's Wednesday, which means today's kind of your day to get your messages in for Here's the Thing tomorrow. Maura's going to be very busy after the show. She spends hours combing through all of the messages that are left and choosing the very, very best. You got to leave some on the cutting room floor. Not everything's going to make the cut. So Maura's going to be she's going to be culling the field in order to get the very, very best for tomorrow. So if you've got something to say, if you want to make fun of us, if you want to make fun of one of the other listeners, if you want to make fun of one of the teams or athletes or coaches or whomever in town, this is
take on playoff percentages.
Yeah, that's just dumb. There's plenty of material. We've given you a lot. Brock's daughter saved the date this week. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of things that have come up. So whatever it is that's on your mind, we would love to hear them. You got to download the app, the Seattle Sports app, and then you can leave us a message there. It's pretty easy to do once you have it. The app may be a good way to be listening to the show today, depending on whether or not you have power. What a crazy, crazy situation. And it's funny, I was looking at the map this morning. My buddy, Jake Wittenberg from King 5 posted a map of all of the power outages. There's like 600,000 people who don't have power right now, and they're almost entirely all on the east side.
And I think the Puget Sound Energy post on X basically said it could be a multiple day thing.
Multiple days. Oh, man, what a mess.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. And then if you live in Seattle, it's like, yeah, there's a little bit of wind. Yeah, lights flickered once or twice, but like really wasn't much of anything. Lyle, I know you were over on the east side, and it seemed like it was like a completely different world. Somehow Lake Washington was this enormous barrier between crazy, crazy storm and like, kind of a normal Tuesday night.
Oh, yeah, we lost power.
Yeah, I bet you did. So no heat, no nothing?
No, and you know what the worst part of it is? And I'm about to give a total Gen Z answer on this.
No Wi-Fi.
10 hours just off the grid, off the internet. Terrible.
But you're not totally off the internet, right? I mean, you have your phone, right? 3G or 5G's working, right? No?
You try and you can't really look at anything. Social media doesn't refresh. Nothing on Google. Like, you can't look at anything on Google. Yeah.
Why?
Because I think the cell towers are down too.
The cell towers are down? Really?
I mean, I'm telling you firsthand. I tried just using cell phone data. It didn't work.
All right. I believe you. Wow.
Yeah,
all right.
Not a fun day.
That is I mean, don't worry about the fact that you won't be able to heat your water or that your refrigerator, everything in there is going to go away.
That's what I always start worrying about. My groceries.
Yeah.
How long can they be in there?
My groceries, and then will I be able to shower, right? I mean, like you can the lights, like, whatever. Like you can kind of live without the lights, right? You got flashlights and lanterns and candles and even your cell phone battery and all that, your cell phone flashlight. But the hot water and, I mean, obviously the heat is first and foremost for most people. And I don't mean to ignore that one. That one's enormous. I do have a gas fireplace in my house, so I am a little bit lucky in that regard if I were to lose power. But for most folks, heat is number one. But it's not like it's going to be 12 degrees out. Like when this happens in Minnesota or something, and people are like, they have no way to heat their homes when it's freezing freaking cold out there. Total disaster. Here, you could kind of get away without the heat. You'd be unhappy, but not like in danger for the most part. But then losing your ability to refrigerate anything or heat up your water, like Yeah, take a shower, man. Like that's important. Got to be able to take a shower.
I went home for Christmas a couple years ago during that big ice storm. So
Here?
I wasn't. I
wasn't here either. You
for
and I
the
both
ice
missed
storm.
that.
I was seeing all the videos, but when I came home, I could tell that the power had been off, and then I didn't know what to do with my groceries that were in the fridge because I didn't know how long it had been off.
Yeah.
I was nervous.
Did you start sniffing everything? Like, this okay? No, this one's spoiled. This one's okay.
I think I threw
This
out a
one's
lot.
got to go. A lot of people concerned, Lyle, that you don't know how to work a smartphone. At your age, it feels like that should come pretty intuitively to you.
Oh, I know how to work a smartphone.
Doesn't feel
It wasn't
like maybe
working.
you do. I don't know. Let's see. We'll have to check on this later. Maybe I'll drive over to the east side. See if I can. You got AT&T or do you have Verizon?
T-Mobile. You don't like T-Mobile?
I don't have an opinion either way.
Well,
I
you
just-
get MLB TV for free with T-Mobile.
I have
All right.
T-Mobile, too.
All right. Well, and that may end up being helpful for you. We'll see. One of the big pieces of news that we'll get into today for Here's the Thing is the news yesterday about the Mariners and their TV broadcast. And I think this is going to lead to an awful lot of misrepresentation and panic about what's happening with the Mariners and their TV product this year. As far as I read it and can tell, and we'll go through this in Need to Know in a little bit more detail, this has absolutely zero effect on the consumers and viewers of the Mariner product. Zero. None. This will not affect your life at all. This is 100% a behind-the-scenes outsourcing of the production portion of what they do to broadcast a baseball game. This has nothing to do with the distribution, which is what folks are going to care about, right? It doesn't mean there aren't people who will have to, potentially change their job, et cetera. I don't know what this means for everybody who works at Root Sports, and I don't mean to, move past that flippantly. I don't know exactly what it means for all those folks, but essentially what I understand the Mariners are doing here, just reading this, they're outsourcing the production of the games to Major League Baseball. The distribution of the games, they're still hoping to have a direct-to-consumer digital product available for the beginning of the next season, which would be great. And maybe it'll still be called Root Sports. I mean, what it's called doesn't really matter all that much. I think it probably will be just still called Root Sports, and maybe there's a digital product that goes with that you can just get an app for. Or maybe they even use the Root Sports app. I don't know. And you can pay for games directly or in a package or whatever the case may be. But this is not any of that. This is just 100% how they're doing the behind-the-scenes production, the trucks, the stats, all that stuff that gets into producing a game, the camera operators, all of that. That's what's being changed. So that came out yesterday from Evan Drellich, and just figured I would try to interpret a little bit of what that means, because I think it's a little confusing, and I think Manfred's comments were a little confusing. I think the way Drellich wrote it was a little confusing, even though there's some great reporting in there. And we'll go through a little bit more of what that means for baseball, because that's really the majority of that story coming up here in Need to Know in just about 7 or 8 minutes. Yeah, people think I should get you a book for the holidays, Lyle, so you can actually read something. Are you okay? Do you know how to read? Could you read a book? When's the last time you read a book?
Sat down and read a book. I mean, it's probably been way too long. To
How
be
long?
honest.
What's the last book you read?
I read Moneyball when it came at some point.
When
in
it
high
came
school.
out, it came out like before you were born.
Oh, okay. So I read it in high school at some point.
Okay.
It's probably been a while.
Not before you were born, but it
I
came
love
out
that
in the
this-
early 2000s.
Yeah. Okay. So that's not when I read it.
Lyle last read a book 20 plus years ago.
Well, I read a bunch of sports articles. Like, what's the difference between that and a full book? I mean, I know it's shorter,
There's a
but
difference.
There's a lot of difference. There's a lot of difference between sports articles and a book.
There's plenty of people that used to read the newspaper every morning and still read books.
Yeah.
fair point.
Can we buy you a book? Can we recommend some books for you to read?
Well, there's some
Fine.
great sports books out there. My entire book collection is pretty much sports
Maybe
books.
even some fiction or something, like just some culture. Can we get you something?
Well, I read some good fiction books like growing up. I guess I just don't as much anymore.
Okay. All right.
Like reading, I don't know. I read the Hunger Games growing up. I read the Lightning Thief series growing up, and all that
Okay.
stuff. But those were good.
I
But
mean,
it's just
to
been a
be
while.
fair, I only read on vacation anymore.
Really?
That's when I, yeah.
You gotta read. It expands your mind. It makes you think. Exposes you to more words.
I buy a book when I go to the airport
All right.
still. I like the I don't do the Nook thing. I just buy a book.
I love my Kindle. That's the way to go. All right. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll give you guys everything you need to know, and then we will go to the desert and quite the experience talking to Gambo. I think you guys will enjoy it. Coming up at 6:30. Brady Henderson's in a little bit later today. Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Member that offensive line, Abraham Lucas, is with us. Abe, how are you, man?
I'm sore. How are you?
Were there butterflies and nerves like it's opening day of the season, or how did that feel going out there?
There's usually some nerves and some butterflies that come with it. I mean, I think that's pretty typical for most folks, but I was prepared. I was prepared as I could be. Over these last couple weeks, I was confident going back out, and I was really just excited to be back out there doing the thing,
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Paid for by government. Now is the time to fill your vault with Morgan Silver Bars. Grab your piece of America's silver legacy with this special offer. These spectacular shining silver bars featuring a crisp image of the iconic Morgan Silver Dollar, a legendary coin that has captivated collectors for generations. Americans treasure owning silver bars and coins, putting them away for themselves and their loved ones. Call now to secure 1-ounce silver bars minted in 99.9% pure silver and made in the USA. You'll be glad you did. Hurry, don't miss out on this special deal. Save $10 per silver bar. The more you buy, the more you save. Limit of 25 bars per customer. Call to learn more. Plus, with qualifying orders, you'll receive a free Morgan Silver Dollar. That's a $59.95 value and free shipping. Call 1-800-222-3967 now to secure your 1-ounce Morgan Silver Dollar bars. That's 1-800-222-3967.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar!
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
I don't want to dig up my yard if I don't have to. That's why I hired O'Neill Plumbing. They're Seattle's trenchless plumbing pros. All rooter, all trenchless, always professional. O'Neill Plumbing. Since 1917.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Call today for a free in-home estimate. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
Are you ready to unleash the beast? Monster Energy is here to give you the edge this college tailgate season. Loaded with bold flavors, our powerful blend gives you the energy you need to push you beyond your limits. Tune in all season long with Monster, the energy drink of ESPN Radio College Football Tour. Power your performance with a drink that's as hungry for victory as you are. Crack open an ice-cold Monster and dominate your competition. Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. Grab yours today.
At the Home Depot, we know you can't control everything, like when your guests arrive too early for Saturday college football. But you can control your grill. With the Traeger Timberline XL, you can watch the game, not the grill. Monitor your football feast from anywhere using the Traeger app. With the Timberline XL, you can bake, smoke, sear, fry, and sauté. That's Desmond Howard level versatility.
Huddle up, the food's done.
Defend your game time with Traeger and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
The Mike McDonald Show. The first word from the head coach after every Seahawks game.
We want to play a certain way, and you're just going to chisel away at it every day.
Presented by Emerald Queen Casino.
Matt Coker here from West Coast Men's Health. Guys, Viagra is not the answer for your problem. I know you think it is, but Viagra has horrible side effects, and for most men, the longer you're on it, the less it works. Viagra is not a curative medication. It's not fixing your problem. It's a Band-Aid for a shark bite. Acoustic wave therapy is the newest technology that can correct your problem, not just treat it. We can do something that no pill can do. we can restore your blood flow naturally. Get off Viagra today. Change your life like the thousands of men who already have, regardless of your age or your medical history. If you're tired of dealing with Peyronie's disease or erectile dysfunction, then call West Coast Men's Health today.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Toyotathon is here at Toyota of Kirkland. To celebrate the event, Toyota of Kirkland has purchased $3 million worth of certified used and pre-owned vehicles on the lot ready for you to test drive and take home. The largest selection of certified used and pre-owned vehicles during Toyotathon can only be found at Toyota of Kirkland. Visit the wonderful team and beautiful showroom at Toyota of Kirkland today or online at toyotaofkirkland.com.
November is a great time to get a new TV. Now that the top-rated brands like Samsung, LG, and Sony are at the lowest prices of the year. With Black Friday deals available, what more could you want? How about better than Black Friday? Before you click, you should call Video Only to see how you can go lower than Black Friday. That's right, the best TVs at better prices. Check out Video Only before you buy, or you'll be sorry.
This hour is brought to you by the Harnish Auto family.
Need to know. Brought to you by Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Well, the Seahawks could be in first place by the end of this weekend. How nice does that sound? You got to go out and take care of business, but perfectly capable of getting it all done. To do so, they got to accomplish something that's been oddly and maybe surprisingly difficult this season, and that's just winning at home at Lumen Field. Just 2-3 there this year. They've lost 3 straight games playing at home, and you're going to have to play the first of 2 against the first-place Cardinals in the span of 3 weeks. Surprise of the division, off to a 6-4 start. They've been balanced. They're like 13th in scoring offense, 12th in scoring defense. So they're not incredible at anything, but they're pretty good at everything. We asked John Gambo yesterday from Arizona, why are the Cardinals in first place?
Murray's matured. Remember we had Kelvin, you guys may remember this. We had Kelvin Beachum in studio a couple of years, 2 years ago. We actually had the anniversary of it just recently. And it was like, hey, what does Kyler Murray, it was actually a year and a half. What does Kyler Murray have to do to get better? And he's like, grow up. He's got to grow up. He's got to be do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yes. He's got to be a leader. He's got to be a leader. He's got to he's got to be more mature. I mean, here's a player on ripping Kyler Murray for not being mature, ripping Kyler Murray for not being a growth. Guys, in the last year and a half, it's been this transformation since Gannon came in. The guy's the first one here. He's the last one to leave. We've had players on. Yeah, his Lambo's the first one in the building. He has dedicated himself to working out here, to rehabbing here, to organize trips during off-season to California with his teammates. It's this transformation of Kyler Murray into a mature quarterback who could actually sit in the pocket and read a defense now, Brock.
All right, so that is WFAN in that is the Arizona Sports Station in Phoenix with host John Gambo, who joined us yesterday, and you'll hear that entire interview coming up in about 15 minutes. He is a unique human being, and of course we all remember what goes on in his show on a day-to-day basis 2 years ago when they interviewed Kelvin Beachum. Who doesn't remember that? That's one of like the highlight moments.
I mean, the offensive lineman calling Kyler out kind of blew up, but I can't say that I remembered that it was their show.
You remember him being in studio, right, Maura? I mean, like, you're paying attention every day. Kyler's been pretty good, though. Got to give the guy some credit. I'm curious to see because I haven't really watched a whole game yet. Kyler, like, I think he could always do a lot of different things. The problem with him is just accuracy. He just flat missed guys when they were open. Curious to see if that looks better and if he's fixed some of those problems, because that's always been my big issue with Kyler Murray. As for the Seahawks, they know what they're up against here, right? I mean, they had a must-win game last week, and really, this one is too. Jonathan Hankins on yesterday with Wyman and Bob.
No, definitely. It's pretty much like our playoffs, you know what I mean? Like, we let some games go early in the season that we should have had, which kind of put us in the situation that we are in now that we pretty much need to win out to, get to that playoffs. I think everybody know what's at hand, and, we definitely take it as a challenge. And, the staff, everybody on the defensive side have been doing amazing getting us prepared and prepped. So, really just, trying to stay in the zone and continue to do what we've been doing.
All right, well, stay in whatever zone that defense was in on Sunday, because if they play that way, they're going to win a bunch more games here down the stretch.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
All right, it does seem like a lot is kind of up in the air right now for the Mariners as we wait to see what moves they're going to make to improve the team this offseason and even who's going to replace Edgar Martinez as the hitting coach. Because remember, Edgar said he's not going to be traveling and doing that job long term. We're still not entirely sure how we're going to be watching them in 2025 either. So yesterday, this article comes out in The Athletic from Evan Drellich, and it is a little confusing saying the team will have its games produced by the league. Here's what it means. The team's outsourcing production of its games to the league. But that shouldn't have any effect on distribution or the way we watch the games. The Mariners are hoping to have a direct-to-consumer digital product available by this season, and that, when it gets announced, if and when, will have an effect. I mean, we should be able to use our phone, to use an app, to download it on a smart TV, whatever it is, in order to watch the games directly without having to go through Fubo or Comcast or DirecTV or whatever else. But that's not what this announcement is yesterday, or what this article is yesterday. This is just the outsourcing of the production portion of it. Shouldn't have any effect on Mariner fans. But remember, the team also still needs to figure out who's going to be doing play-by-play for those games. Dave Sims has left for New York. Mike Blowers is not on the air for the final few weeks of last season. I'm not sure what's going on there. Aaron Goldsmith, I'm sure, will be back. But other than that, things are a little bit dicey in terms of how things look for that Mariner broadcast right now. Anyway, come back to the piece from Drellich. It's a really good piece. It's much more about the league than it is about the Mariners, who are really just like a quick paragraph mention in it. It seems like Rob Manfred, is finally recognizing that they're losing their largest revenue stream in the cable networks, right? And so he's looking to make major changes by 2028 when the collective bargaining agreement expires. Those changes are going to be huge. They'll affect local, national, digital viewing, everything. I think there's a better than even chance the league ends up changing its revenue sharing formula, and they're going to push for a salary cap. And then we'll see what happens, because the union is not going to accept it. And we've been saying this for a while. There's going to be a massive labor strike, massive labor stoppage. These two sides are going to go to war. And for the first time, I think it's actually like necessary that they do it. They need to reset how baseball is financed, because the main revenue stream is drying up. So they're going to have to figure out a completely new way of doing business, and maybe they can fix some of the ails of the game in the process.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Mariners did make a couple small moves yesterday, by the way. They trade for recently DFA, or I guess they claimed recently DFA'd infielder Austin Shenton. Remember, he used to be here, local kid, right, from Spokane? Is that right? Bellingham. Okay. They had sent him to Tampa a couple years ago, I think in the Diego Castillo deal.
Yeah. Actually, never mind. It was Bellingham. Or it was Spokane. Never mind.
Oh.
I thought...
You're very quick to criticize.
No, not criticize. I thought it was
very
Bellingham.
Quick to correct. You're like my daughter.
Oh, my bad.
Correcting everything. Very interesting. I do the same thing.
You're both right. The press release says born in Spokane. He went to Bellingham High School.
Oh, look at that.
All right, there we go.
There we go. Even better. It was a yes and, not a but. Anyway, they DFA'd JT Chargois at the same time. Kraken get back to it tonight at home against Nashville Predators. Have not been good, 6-10-3 this season. Got to assume we'll see Joey DeCord back in net after getting Sunday off. And I'm going to be watching Shane Wright probably more than anybody else. Is he going to be back in the lineup after being a healthy scratch on Sunday and having his playing time limited the game before that? Here's what Dan Bilesma had said about the benching.
I think it's... as the games have gone along here, I think Shane's game has been trending in not the best direction. We talked to him today about his training camp and how good he was playing and how strong he was playing, what he was showing off with his skill and his skating and his ability with the puck. That was super evident in training camp, and as the games have gone along here, it's trended in not the greatest direction. And really the message is take a reset, watch the game tonight, which he did, and get back focused on playing the way you can play and the way you played earlier in the season.
Okay, so a lot in there, man. First of all, he sounds like he should be back in there after getting a chance to watch for a night and see the game from the top level instead of right at ice level. But, I always wonder how that happens in sports other than baseball and golf. Like the repeatable sports where I understand like little like mechanical differences can completely change how you're playing. Even basketball with your shooting. How does your hockey game slump like that? that just effort? Is it just energy? Like, I don't know the answer to it, but whatever it is, I'm glad to hear Bosma come out and just say it and try to do something about it, because with Eberle out and some of the problems this team has putting the puck in the net, they need Shane Wright to be good. They need him to step up. So get your game in order, be responsible in all three zones, skate hard, pay the price near the front of the net, and hopefully he'll do all those things starting tonight. That's everything you need to know. Oh, man, we do that quarter past every hour here on the Brock and Salk Show. I should remind everybody, tomorrow night, Hawks Live, Bump and Paul Moyer, starting at 7 o'clock, Bellevue Square Center Court. Live broadcast, preview of the week's game, visit from a Seahawks player, the whole deal. That's tomorrow night at 7 at Bellevue Square Center Court. Learn more at seattlesports.com/events. All right, you guys want to hear Gambo? You got to hear Gambo. It's like it's one of those like car crashes that you can't look away from. Like he's an absolutely crazy person from New York, very obviously lives in Arizona, has been in Phoenix now forever, super well connected. He really is super well connected with especially the Suns and the Cardinals, and he's opinionated about it. You got to hear him. He also thinks that Brock and I play for the Seahawks currently, so you have to really like dig through some of the rubble in order to get the value out of it. But there's some really good stuff on the Seahawks and their opponent. You'll hear it all coming up next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
You have a problem with people calling what the Seahawks did a lucky win.
There's a lot of people who listen to our show who listen to the post game and they text in, and as soon as the clock hits zeros, people are saying, well, they got lucky. There was no George Kittle. Bosa didn't play. You got to be lucky in the NFL. To just disregard what that defense did, to disregard what JSN did, to disregard Gino's final drive to win the game is nuts to me. Enjoy the win.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Transform your home from top to bottom with State Roofing. Hi, it's Sam Thomason, owner of State Roofing. It's not just about a new roof, it's about a new look for your entire home. Deck out your backyard or give your exterior a facelift with our siding and window options. And there's no better time to start than now with our incredible offer. 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 12 months. Why wait to make your dream home a reality? We do more than just roofs. Visit stateroofing.com. Let's talk about what's possible for your home.
State Roofing, the best roof you'll ever need.
Guys, your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, weight, and even ED. Schedule your free testosterone level check with the team at Revive Men's Health Seattle. Text the word BOOST, that's BOOST, to 65555 or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com. Message and data rates apply. Message frequency varies. Text help for help and stop to cancel. ReviveMen'sHealth.com/privacy policy for how to opt in. Info will be used, and ReviveMen'sHealth.com/terms of use for terms of service.
When the hot water needs to be hot, when the drain needs to drain, when the toilet needs to flush, you need to do two things. Stop freaking and call Beacon. Beacon Plumbing, Heating, and Mechanical. On call and there when you need them most. 1-800-FREAKIN or beaconplumbing.net.
Hey Seahawks fans, Tyler Lockett for Brown Bear Car Wash. We've got the perfect play for a spotless car. With the Unlimited Wash Club, you can keep your car game ready all season long. It isn't clean unless it's Brown Bear clean.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here for my friends at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Yes, I said and hotel. If you're looking for a fun night out, Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel is just the place to go. Whether it's Vista Prime Steak and Seafood with their reimagined happy hour or Falls Buffet as well. The breathtaking views of the Snoqualmie Valley and Mount Si. You can find all the details at snocasino.com. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Only 30 minutes from downtown. Seattle's closest, Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Mommy and Moana, together again.
Can I get a Chee-hoo? This Thanksgiving, if you can watch one movie,
Hey, you wanted to come this time.
make sure it's
Moana.
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 Moana. Moana. You might want to hold on.
Disney's Moana 2, rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters November 27th. Tickets available now.
This college football moment is brought to you by Serve Pro.
College football teams have moments they recovered from and made it like it never even happened. For instance, on September 21st, 2019, UCLA trailed Washington State 49-17 with under 7 minutes left in the third quarter. From that point forward, the Bruins erased that 32-point deficit, outscoring the Cougars 50-14 to win 67-63.
Serve Pro, like it never even happened.
So here's the deal with Mariners season ticket memberships. You've got two great options. With a Flex membership, you have the freedom to pick your seats, games, and number of tickets whenever you want. Or if you like knowing where you're sitting all season long, go with a reserved membership and lock in your seats from day one. Both plans get you access to exclusive pre-sales, year-round discounts, special event invites, and more. Check it out at mariners.com/25.
Cal Raleigh wins it in the 10th inning for the Mariners.
The Mike McDonald Show. The first word from the head coach after every Seahawks game.
We want to play a certain way, and you're just going to chisel away at it every day.
Presented by Emerald Queen Casino.
Post Malone presents the Big Ass Stadium Tour. 9-time Diamond certified and 16-time Grammy Award nominated phenomenon, Post Malone. His biggest headline tour, live at T-Mobile Park, June 26th. Global superstar Post Malone with Jelly Roll. Pre-sale for City Card members begins Wednesday at noon at LiveNation.com.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, don't neglect maintenance on your vehicle. Keep it safe. At Bucky's Complete Auto, we have you covered with available financing. For over 50 years, Bucky's Complete Auto has been servicing and repairing cars and trucks with modern-day technology and good old-fashioned customer service. There's a Bucky's just about everywhere for oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance. No appointment necessary and financing's available. Check Bucky's.com for the location near you.
Want to get rid of clutter and reclaim your space? John here with Happy Hauler, Seattle's eco-friendly junk removal. We're a family-run small business that provides junk removal, donations, and recycling for the greater Seattle area. At Happy Hauler, we pride ourselves on responsibility, community, and sustainability. We prioritize donating and recycling, so we'll look for opportunities to do just that instead of going to the landfill. Make yourself, your community, and the planet happy. Reclaim your space. HappyHauler.com, hauling with a heart.
O'Brien Auto Group has some of the best new car brands in the Northwest. Those great new vehicles make the best pre-owned vehicles as well. O'BrienAutoGroup.com for the best factory certified vehicles. O'BrienAutoGroup.com for a large selection of the best pre-owned cars and trucks. O'BrienAutoGroup.com. Choose from hundreds of SUVs, trucks, hybrids, EVs, and more. O'BrienAutoGroup.com. One site is all you need. That's OBRIEN Autogroup.com.
O'Brien. Brock and Salk's Rewind is presented by Toyota of Kirkland.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
This is kind of disappointing, Brock.
What's that?
Well, I looked up our sister station in the desert, 98.7.
Arizona Sports Station.
Just to make sure, because I knew they were 98.7, but then I just had like this moment of panic, like, wait, they are 98.7, right? And just I had just like a weird, like, wanted to check and make sure I got it right. And I'm looking at it, and it seems like they've dropped the word station.
What?
They're just Arizona Sports 98.7 now.
What?
Which I think is disappointing because I really miss, the initials of the Arizona Sports Station.
Is that our boy B Long? Did B Long realize
it has to have been B Long because Hatch was pretty well like, if we're going to be the Arizona Sports Station, B Long must have come in and changed something down there. Gambo joins us now. Afternoons, of course, on, what is now Arizona Sports 98.7. Gambo, what's going on, man?
Man, you know more about my radio station than me. I didn't even notice that.
Really? We love the old name.
I don't know anything, man. I don't know how to press a button. I don't know how to turn off my mic. I don't know how to, honestly, when my sound goes down, they got to come in from the studio to fix it for me. I've never pushed a button, so I have no idea.
Well,
you pushed a lot of buttons, Gambo.
They do have the dump button just for me,
there we go.
Just for me, they've got that dump button. I seem to mess up 2 or 3 times a year.
Quickly, our old program director, who we referred to as Lumberg 2 when he was here, who really helped to get our show on track and moving in the right direction in the early years as we were kind of floundering, is now there working with you guys. How is he? Quickly, nobody else cares but us, but quickly, how is our guy B Long?
What's his name?
Brian Long. B Long. Yeah.
I just don't know. I don't know that I've ever met the guy.
Oh, jeez.
How long has he been at the station for?
Oh, man. Oh, no. This is bad. All right. Well, let's move on then before we get people in trouble.
Is he in programming or sales?
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Oh my gosh! Wow!
Hey,
Shots
Gambo, before also we get to Cardinals, Kyler Murray,
Wow.
Gannon, all this hate week, you're stirring it up, you push buttons, what you do. Do you guys still play that sounder of Salk? Every time I jump on with you guys, you got that old sounder of Salk sounding like a cat or something like that?
When he's calling the cats. When he's calling, we kind of call that our cat call. Like when he,
What is it?
I don't know about that. Yeah. How was that for an impression, Brock? Was that pretty good?
You still play that, though? You still make fun of my partner? You guys still doing that?
We play that every once in a while.
Jeez.
Yeah, we still play that, of course.
Why would you make fun of me? That's terrible. I can't believe the things I'm hearing here this morning. Just awful. Just awful. Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to play some bad sound of me, you could play all the early year sounds of me talking about Jonathan Gannon and laughing at him and the pew pew and all that stuff, because it looks like he kind of knows what he's doing, huh?
Didn't you do the same thing with Bruce Arians, if I remember correctly?
Oh, I'll still do that with Bruce Arians. That guy's terrible. That guy's the worst.
Didn't you knock Bruce Arians? And I think he took him to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, I had to knock him in between times when he was drinking paint again.
Yeah. Whatever it is, he had some success there. You
Not
know,
a lot, really.
I mean, you just don't like Cardinal coaches.
No,
I
told you, I'm flipped on Gannon. Gannon seems like he knows what he's doing. He seems like he's pretty good, huh?
Well, I'll tell you, we like him. We do a show with him. We do a show with him every week. I mean, he's so different than Cliff, right? I mean, Cliff was this pretty boy with the tight jeans and everything. And Gannon comes in there, I mean, he just lets it rip. He's a fun guy to deal with. He's a good leader of men. You know, he's done a really good job with this football team to get them where they are. I mean, guys, they're missing so many key players. No B.J. Ojulari, no Bilal Nichols, no Darius Robinson, no Dennis Gardeck, no Justin Jones, no Jonah Williams. And this team's in first place? Are you kidding me?
You just named 8 people I've never heard of, so that doesn't sound like it's that big a deal.
Right. Yeah, well, this whole roster, if you go around the country and you ask people to name Cardinal players, they can name 3. Kyler Murray, James Conner, and Budda Baker, and then that's it. They can't name any more than 3.
Yeah.
James Harrison, I guess.
So how is he
Marvin
doing?
Harrison Jr., rather.
How honestly, how are they in first place? How is he doing it?
Murray's mature. Remember we had Kelvin, you guys may remember this. We had Kelvin Beacham in studio a couple of years, 2 years ago. We actually had the anniversary of it just recently. And it was like, hey, what does Kyler Murray, it was actually a year and a half, what does Kyler Murray have to do to get better? And he's like, grow up. He's got to grow up. He's got to be do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's got to be a leader. He's got to be a leader. He's got to be more mature. I mean, here's a player on ripping Kyler Murray for not being mature, ripping Kyler Murray for not being a growth. Guys, in the last year and a half, it's been this transformation since Gannon came in. The guy's the first one here. He's the last one to leave. We've had players on. Yeah, his Lambo's the first one in the building. He has dedicated himself to working out here, to rehabbing here, to organize trips during off-season to California with his teammates. So it's this transformation of Kyler Murray into a mature quarterback who could actually sit in the pocket and read a defense now, Brock. He could sit in the pocket and go through progressions instead of just looking at DeAndre Hopkins and focusing on one guy. And if that guy's not open, bailing, he can now sit in the pocket and make several reads before going to a check down. It's been an incredible transformation of how good he's been.
Do you think that is due to his relationship with Gannon and the new coaching staff and what they've done with him? Do you think it is just the natural process of getting older and maturing? Or do you think he's one of those guys that maybe needed to get paid in order to relax about it? Because I've heard that actually said about another guy you guys have in Arizona, about Ketel Marte, that when he got paid, it kind of relaxed him and he was able to go out and be who he needed to be. Are any of those true of Kyler?
It's a good point, Sock. I mean, Marte's been a great, that trade for Seattle was Mike Hazen's first trade, and it ended up being a fantastic trade because Marte's been so good. But I think what happened, is you get into the league, you've been great at every level, junior high school, college. You've just been great on your natural ability. You get to the NFL and you think, okay, I don't have to continue to work I'll work, but I'm not going to work at the level to be, I think that's the thing. He worked, but not at the level you need to work, the commitment that you need to be great. I think he just came in and thought he was going to be great. And when he wasn't, when he was just average, it was like, oh, my God. Last year, around this time, he still hadn't been playing a football game yet. Dobbs was the quarterback. You guys beat us twice last year. Dobbs beat us and beat you in you guys beat Dobbs in the first game, Kyler in the second. We went into the season talking about whether if the Cardinals ended up with the number 1 pick from either them or the Texans, if they would draft Caleb Williams or Drake May. Because we didn't know what we had in Kyler Murray. He had been here for 5 years, and we weren't sure what we had. He was one of those Jay Cutler-type quarterbacks where, he's not good, but he's not great, but he's not terrible. You didn't know what you had. I think he finally committed to being great. That's all. He's here all the time. He's working out here. He's rehabbing here. I think he finally understood that I can't get by just on natural talent alone. I got to really work hard, study the playbook. There was a time when he had that iPad he would never look at it. Like, and the Cardinals knew that. They could track how often you looked at the playbook. He never looked at it. He committed himself. I really think it's as simple as that.
Who's the heartbeat, though? Is Connor the heartbeat of this whole deal?
And Buddha, your guy Buddha, I know you love him, so do we. I mean, Buddha is, he's the heartbeat. There was a lot of talk like if the Cardinals were doing poorly, would they trade him at the deadline this year since his contract's up and he's a free agent. He's playing the best football of his career. I've never seen him. I mean, he's been great. He's never not been great. He's playing at a level right now, just snuffing everything out, and his tackling is unreal. So he's the heartbeat of the defense because they're missing everybody. And then Connor's the heartbeat of the offense. I think Connor being here and showing you, look, he helps Kyler too, how to prepare as a professional in the locker room, interviews, all of that stuff. So Connor's been great. And then look, Trey McBride's emergence as one of the best tight ends in the NFL has been terrific too. So, they're a good football team, guys. We're shocked. Bernsey picked them to win 11 games. I picked them to win 9. And we're looking at it now. We thought we were crazy because everybody in the league thought they'd win 6 or 7. They're a good football team. Are they a great football team? No, but they're a good football team.
How far away are they from being what do you think they end up at? Are you sticking with 9? Are you going ahead of that? Where do you think they end up?
I got 9. I got 9. I think, listen, Seattle will find a way to lose a stupid game. I'll go Bears on December 26th. Don't you guys usually lose a dumb game every year that blows your chance? Who'd you lose to last year? Was it Mason Rudolph and the Steelers?
They already lost this year to Daniel Jones and the Giants. I don't know how much dumber you can get than that.
Yeah, you guys always lose a game late that kind of blows your chances. I'll pick the Bears beat you guys on December 26th to take your chances away because that's what you guys do. They don't have a pass rush. They can't get to the quarterback. So that's their negative. They need to go draft somebody or sign a free agent. They just don't have anybody that can rush the passer.
Now the double rainbow guy, Gambo is with us, by the way. If you don't know the voice, the one and only Gambadoro, down there at the Arizona Sports
If for some
Station.
reason you think we're talking about New York sports, we're not.
No.
We're actually talking about Phoenix sports with a guy from New York. That's all.
Giovanni Giuseppe Italo Gambadoro. Let's get it right.
Best. Say that again one more time.
Giovanni Giuseppe Italo Gambadoro.
Wow. That is.
Mi padre nato Messina, mi madre genitore nato Rimini.
Yes, exactly.
Want to do the show in Italian?
A little bit, yeah. That was like kind of fun, yeah. You're a little easier to take in Italian, I would say.
You guys come visit me in 2 years. 2 years, I'll be living there. I'll give you guys a free place to stay if you ever want to come.
Back in Italy, I like it. So now the double rainbow guy's out, and we know the hatred everybody had there, especially many of your colleagues at that station for one Pete Carroll. Now that he's out, how do you all view these Seahawks with Mike Macdonald?
I think Macdonald's a great coach. I think he might have the best coach in the league, to be honest with you. I really like him. I'm still surprised that, at Geno, I know I just don't think I watched him with the Jets because as a New York fan, I never thought he was that good, but he's kind of been decent for you guys, right? He's kind of been good for you guys.
He's clutch.
You guys were going through all these roster cuts, man, like the center retired and you were making you were making trades before anybody else was. So, and then you guys had that stretch where you just, you weren't good. You guys lose you mentioned you lost to the Giants, and then you lost 5 out of 6 after starting 3-0. It's like, Seattle's good. But then that win over the 49ers. But the 49ers aren't good this year. They're not right. There's something wrong with the 49ers. So you guys beat them. Look, this division comes down to these two games that the Cardinals and the Seahawks are going to play against each other. I really do. If Seattle wins both of these games, they're probably going to win the division. If Arizona wins both of these games, they're probably going to win the division. If they split, then it's kind of wide open. So I think these two games coming up here with the Cardinals are going to ultimately determine who wins the division and who doesn't.
How are the Cardinals done against the Rams and Niners this year?
Cardinals beat the Rams. They beat the hell out of the Rams. Like, it was like the one game early in the season you were like, wow, they blew them out 41-10. Marvin Harrison Jr. had a great game. And then they beat the 49ers when we weren't sure that the 49ers were bad. You know, at that point, we weren't really sure. And they beat the 49ers at an epic comeback in the fourth quarter to win the game because they were down. And it was on the road in San Francisco, and they beat them 24-23. And it was, again, at that point, I know they had a lot of guys out, McCaffrey, but they were still the 49ers. And we just so in the division, they haven't lost yet. They haven't lost the division game, which gives them some, you know, when it comes to tiebreakers, they're in a pretty good spot. As long as they don't lose 2 to Seattle, if they could split with Seattle, I think they're going to be in a good shape if they ended up tied to win a tiebreaker.
Just out of curiosity, when did we decide that the Niners were bad? Was it after they lost to the Seahawks?
No, I think it might have been after they lost to the Cardinals. Like, you were like, okay, this like they lost to the Cardinals because we didn't know what the Cardinals were at that time, right? We weren't really sure, and then they beat the 49ers, and we're like, oh my God, like, wow, that's insane. Like, okay, they don't have McCaffrey and they're out, and I know Ayuk got hurt, but they were still supposed to be a great team. But now Bosa's hurt, right? Bosa's like, they're just a mess, and they've said it, like, there's something wrong with them this year. Look, the Cardinals have been blown out in a couple of games too, which gave us a lot of pause. Like the Washington Commanders, they kicked their ass up and down the field, and it's like, oh, okay. And then the Packers. So there's been a couple of games with the Cardinals where just like, wow, we just didn't know for sure.
All right, Gambo, last thought here. We'll let you get back to your workout.
Hold on, I got to know, what is the Red Sea thing? Is the Red Sea engaged?
That was going to be my question.
Oh, it was?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know.
Stop stealing my notes.
I just want to know whether the Red Sea is engaged.
I'm really curious with Kenny Dillingham and all he's doing at ASU, and they control their destiny. They went out. They're going to be in the Big 12 title game. The Suns,
Kenny
we know.
Dillingham, man, coach of the year. They've got to give that guy a raise. He's making $3.95 million. ASU wins out. They may play for the Big 12 championship.
Yes.
Switching out of the Pac-12, where you had to deal with USC and Oregon and Washington every year.
Best thing for them.
They never had a snowball's chance. They never had a chance.
So what's going on in the market, Gambo? Is it Suns? Is it ASU? Is it the 6-4 Cardinals? Like
Suns. The Suns have no Durant's out, Beal's out, Nurkic is out. I was at the Suns game last night. They've lost 4 in a row. They've lost 5 out of 6. It's ASU. Arizona State may win the Big 12. The Big 12, they don't have any great teams in the Big 12, but they have a shot of winning the conference. If they
that's
win
a bigger deal.
BYU,
That's a bigger deal in the market than the 6-4 Cardinals.
No, the Cardinals top dog, but ASU's like a close second right now. The Suns are always hot, but the Suns, they're struggling right now. They're 1-5 without Durant. But the Sun Devils, this BYU game, we're wondering how many BYU fans are going to be in the building for this game because they usually show up. But that's a huge game. If they beat BYU and then they beat Arizona, they probably end up in the Big 12 championship game, and they're one game away from being in the college football playoff.
Does anybody miss the Coyotes?
Who?
I have a feeling that might be the answer to that one. What's going on with the Suns building? Are they going to build something new? I was down there last year. I took my dad to see the Eagles for his 75th birthday last year. And so we went to, and it was awesome. It was great. They were tremendous. But that building is not great.
The Suns building?
Yeah. Do you guys like that building?
They just put $250 million into it. They did a complete renovation right before Robert Sarver left and Matt Ishbia took over. They put like the Diamondback Stadium is one like, okay, that thing's falling apart. Like they can't open and close the roof. The AC doesn't work. The plumbing's terrible. They need a completely refurbished building because that building is now, 27 years old, the Diamondbacks building. They need a new stadium or something, or a complete refurb. The Suns Arena, they just redid the whole thing. They just a couple of years ago. They put like $250 million into it. So I don't know. I don't think they're going to, you know how it's like. I don't think you're going to get a new building. I think the only thing you're going to get, if you're going to use taxpayer money to help you, is you're going to get to refurbish the place. And they just did that a couple of years ago.
That's interesting. Honestly, and I wasn't saying it to take a shot. I thought it felt more like Key Arena than Climate Pledge. Like, it just felt like dated in there. And it was too bad because the Eagles were great. The sound wasn't awesome. Maybe it's better for a basketball game than it is for a concert.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, I took my wife to see Elton John at Chase Field, so the Diamondback Stadium. Yeah. So their host, we have so many avenues. So the Suns, the Coyotes' old arena in Glendale, they host concerts.
Yeah.
You got the Suns Arena, they host concerts. You got Chase Field, they host concerts. Like, we got like 5 different venues that host concerts. So it's amazing. But I mean, I understand what you're saying. I mean, that building was built, you know, they used to play at the Madhouse on McDowell and, you know, in the 90s, and then they built the stadium in downtown Phoenix. But just recently they put a ton of money into that building to make it. I think it's pretty decent, but if you didn't like it, you didn't like it.
All right. Well, good stuff. Hey,
what's your workout today, Gambo? What are we doing? I know you're a psychopath. What do we got today?
Probably just a 4-mile run today.
Okay.
And then abs. We gotta get our couple hundred sit-ups in every day. You know.
You got a 6-pack?
I mean, look, I'm gonna be 58 years old next
So is
week.
Mike Tyson. Are you, do you have a 6-pack?
Yeah. I mean, I'm in shape. I'm in shape. That's all.
That's
in shape.
a non-answer. I don't feel like you're answering the question about the 6-pack.
I could go to the beach and take my shirt off, no problem. But you?
No, absolutely not. I'm a hairy, disgusting beast. I'm awful.
Yeah,
Nobody
you
wants
go
to
the
see
beach.
this. Yeah.
You go to the beach. You're gonna go in the ocean. You're gonna go in the ocean.
I don't go in the ocean. That's disgusting, man. I don't want to go where all the fish and sharks and everything else is.
How'd the orcas doing over there? I love the orcas.
The orcas are good.
We've reached the dam so they can get the salmon.
The orcas were killing some seal the other day. They were getting after it. They were like feeding right in the
Gambo,
sound.
thank you. We appreciate you every time.
There you go. Bye, Gambo.
See you later, buddy.
All right, boys. Take
There you
care.
go. He's hard to get a straight answer out of that guy, don't you think? Like, I just want to know if you have a 6-pack. I wasn't trying to insult him. Like, if you do hundreds of sit-ups a day.
Maybe he was trying not to brag.
That's not like him. I mean, he's more of a humble bragger than an actual braggart. I don't know. Like, I just want an answer. Like, okay, you do a couple hundred sit-ups a day. Do you have a 6-pack? Like, I feel like if I did.
Well, and he said he runs a bunch. I don't see how he couldn't.
Right. So I wasn't trying to insult him. I was like going to be super impressed.
By the way, your ocean take is you have a list of things you just like to dislike that other people love, but that's probably your most trash take.
You think so?
Yes.
You know what it is? More a fear. It's not about dislike. It's about fear. I'm afraid of things that live in the ocean.
Okay.
I don't go in the ocean either.
Yeah, I'll go in, certainly. Like, go to Hawaii or something. I'll go in for a little while, but I'm never relaxed. Like, I'm totally relaxed on the beach. I'm fine in a pool. You get me in the ocean, and I'm just not very relaxed. And I'm even worse in, like, rivers and lakes and ponds. Like, I don't know what lives in there, and that stuff just scares the crap out of me.
I have those fears, too, and then I just push them to the back because I love the water so much.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't like it. What's going on with your mic there, buddy?
Oh, yeah. I should probably turn it on.
Yeah.
There we go. I have a massive irrational fear of sharks, so I don't go in the ocean very much. I'll put my feet in. That's about it.
Yeah, dude, that's their territory. Like, that's always my opinion. It's like, I don't want the sharks coming here, and I don't necessarily need to go there. Like, if they came here, I feel like I'd have an advantage over them, right? They can't live in air. On land?
Punch a shark in the face.
Well, like, I feel like I'd have an advantage. Like, it'd be thrashing around, gasping for air with its gills, and I'd be like, yeah, what's up? I got a baseball bat. Like, we're fine. But you get them in their territory, you got nothing.
Yeah, but normally the odds of that are so low. Seeing what was going on in Florida this summer with, like, I don't know, the water was warmer and they were having more and more. I don't know if I would have gotten in that water.
Dude, no way.
Sharks were popping up everywhere. in the
Get
shallow
out of
water.
here. Those things are and it's not just sharks. Dude, I don't even like little fish. I don't want them to touch me. I don't want to go see them. I don't need to see anything that lives in the water other than maybe one of those big old, like, one of those big tortoises. Those are fine.
I saw a ton of sea turtles in Hawaii when I
those are nice.
snorkeled. It was really cool.
Those are cool. But after that, like, dude, I don't I don't need to be a part of it. So, Lyle, you and I have to be on the same page, although I'm concerned that that you and I are. So, anyway. All right, here's what we've got today. Let me kind of bring you guys up to speed. Brock's out today. He's watching his daughter play for Oklahoma State, play some hoops this morning. So, Brady Henderson's going to be in. I think Brock's going to be with us for Blue 88. But Brady's going to be with us for the next couple hours. Daniel Jeremiah's going to join me still at 8:30. I think, assuming she can like talk on the phone and her power and everything is okay, Shannon Dreher's going to join us at 9:30, but we'll check in with her in a little while. And Shannon and I are debating. We're at war.
I love it.
We're not really at war, but we do kind of disagree, but not even that much. So we'll see how this goes at 9:30. Stick around. Brady's in next. Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710.
Hawks Live.
Tomorrow night from 7 to 9.
Live from Bellevue Square Center Court. Join former Seahawks Michael Bumpus and Paul Moyer as they go deep on the Hawks with player interviews and opponents' analysis.
Rookie Michael Jarrell, what's your approach? Are you the talking type? I'm pretty much quiet until somebody get me riled up or like we make a big play. I'm going to talk a little bit. We get a first down, I'm going to talk a little bit. Or our pancaking, I'm definitely going to talk. So it's like...
Presented by the Bellevue Collection.
Every Thursday night throughout the Hawks season.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, Buc-ee's has you covered with available financing. For oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance, it's Buc-ee's Complete Auto. No appointment necessary and financing's available. Check Buc-ee's.com for the location near you.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my superhydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Hey, it's Dr. Coogan with Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. Summer's over and you've had your fun, but now it's time to get back on track. Stop feeling frustrated and overwhelmed and start being excited about the new you that's possible. We want to be your teammate. No gimmicks, no tricks, no drugs. Just teaching you how to turn your body into a fat-burning machine and keep it off for the long term. We know the secret for fast and lasting weight loss using real healthy foods and lifestyle strategies designed to reset your metabolism. Schedule your free consultation online at eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
There's a lot of things I love about this Eastside Weight Loss Clinic program, and it's not just the 35 pounds that I lost in 8 weeks. That was big, but it's keeping it off. It's the sustainability, and this program does it better than anyone else.
Our program has successfully helped thousands of people lose 20 to 30 pounds or more in just 60 days. You can start our program in person in Kirkland or virtually from anywhere you live. Schedule your free phone consultation today by calling 425-588-0080 or eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Guys, your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, weight, and even ED. Schedule your free testosterone level check with the team at Revive Men's Health Seattle. Text the word BOOST, that's BOOST, to 65555 or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com. Message and data rates apply. Message frequency varies. Text help for help and stop to cancel. ReviveMen'sHealth.com/privacy policy for how to opt in. Info will be used and ReviveMen'sHealth.com/terms of use for terms of service.
Have you considered surgery or even joint replacement? Hey, it's Dave Wyman, and before you make that decision, see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Why? Because he gives it to you straight. Dr. Wagner said my right knee needs replacement, and I appreciate his honesty and expertise. My left knee is fine right now, but the minute it isn't, I'm heading to Dr. Wagner for his expert opinion. I want to avoid another surgery, and I've heard so many patients rave about results from their 90-minute outpatient stem cell procedure with Dr. Wagner. He's a board-certified Seattle physician with over 30 years of experience and has performed more than 20,000 stem cell procedures using a person's own stem cells to regenerate cartilage in their own joints. People with severe osteoarthritis, even bone on bone, are back doing what they enjoy without pain and without surgery. Whether it's a shoulder, hip, elbow, ankle, wrist, or knee, before choosing surgery, see Dr. Mark Wagner first. Go to drmarkwagnermd.com.
Lead generation is one of the most important aspects of any marketing campaign. So let us help you identify your target audience and market your products or services to them. Go to aimyourdigital.com today. aimyourdigital.com.
FX's English teacher.
Every single one of these essays is so bad.
An F? What is this?
With grades like this, I'm gonna have to hit the corner, sir.
From executive producers of What We Do in the Shadows.
Who's running the school? Is it us or is it them?
Them.
Go sit next to Tiffany.
She told me it was offensive to learn Mandarin because you're not Japanese.
FX's English teacher is now streaming on Hulu. All new Mondays on FX.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Get in the freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Ewert is my hero.
Jay Buhner just punched me in the kidney.
We're going to see you on the interview.
Doesn't really work that way, Sherm. This is a show that has my name on it.
It kind of does, though.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Ewert and Mike Salk.
Hello! All right, I don't want to alarm anybody. It's not Friday, but Brady Henderson's here in for Brock today. We're going to switch things up a little bit this week. Brock was going to his daughter's basketball game today, and so what a good opportunity to get Brady in, talk some football on a Wednesday. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. You survived the windstorm, the bomb cyclone on your boat.
Yeah, I'm a survivor. Yeah, it got very windy.
You have to take down the sails or anything?
Well, it's a
take down the mast.
It's a power boat, so no sails.
Okay.
I did have to go up on the roof of the boat and kind of secure a bunch of stuff that was banging around.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
You're securing stuff up there.
Yeah, you got to. Otherwise, it's gonna,
Feels like the roof of the boat should have a specific name.
You know what? That's
everything else on a boat has a different name. Why wouldn't the roof have a different name?
Well, there is a part of the roof called the flybridge, which you could, if you fix a wheel to it, you could actually, drive
Steer.
the boat from up there.
Okay.
That's just a specific part of it. The rest is like a flat surface that I got chairs and a cooler and, a rug and.
It's not like some sort of a deck, the top deck?
Yeah, you could call it the top deck. Yeah.
I would call it the top deck.
Maybe there's a boat aficionado out there who knows more about it than me.
I'm willing to bet there's many boat aficionados that listen to the show that would be willing to correct you immediately.
I did put some stuff on the flybridge because it's a little bit, concealed from the wind. So.
Would you refer to that as stowing it?
You could say I stowed it.
You stowed some of the stuff that was on the top deck.
Yeah, of course you got the lazarette, which is in the stern of the boat. That's an actual you actually stow something in there because it's a big compartment with a
lazarette.
The lazarette.
Man, I'm learning a ton today.
There you go.
All right, Brady's here. We'll talk about more than boats. You wrote about offensive coordinators this week. Tell me what I need to know here.
Yeah, well, that was we call it 32 for 32. So every one of the 32 beat writers at ESPN, pardon me. Excuse me, there we go. At ESPN, we all were sort of given this formatted assignment to just basically write about how the offensive coordinator, how the offense of the team that you cover is doing. And the parameters were what's gone right, what's gone wrong, and what's the key to the second half. I think what's gone right for Ryan Grubb's offense is that what they try to do, how they try to make life difficult on defenses with all the shifting and the motion and the no huddle, I think that stuff is working. I think when they have gotten into that mode, and you see it several times throughout a game where in non-traditional hurry-up situations, they'll go no huddle and they'll get to the line quickly. They'll give Geno Smith time to diagnose everything and to shift players around. And I think that really can put defenses in a bind, as Brock has talked a lot about. I think that part of their offense, they can really be dangerous when they're doing that. And obviously their passing game, because they've had to rely so much on it, is doing well. They're second in the NFL in passing yards. What's not gone right is the run game and the fact that they haven't been able to commit to the run for whatever reasons. And I think a big part of that is the fact that they've been behind the sticks so much. And when you lose a yard on first down and you're 2nd and 11, or if you're in 3rd and 9, you're not running the ball. So I think part of their issue with the run game is that they've been in situations where they can't do it. I think a big part of it too is that, Ryan Grubb his history would suggest that he is a pass-first offensive coordinator, which I think that raises a whole nother question about the fit here in Seattle going forward. And then in terms of looking ahead, I think the key to the second half, as I wrote, was getting Abe Lucas back, and you saw a glimpse of the kind of difference maker he could be Sunday.
Offensive coordinators seem to be incredibly important in the NFL, so I'm not surprised that you got that assignment from your editor, right? It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Outside of head coaches, they're probably the next most important. You might even make the argument that they're so important that there are teams out there willing to deal with a head coach who's not a perfect head coach in order to get their offensive mind into the building. And I would argue that you watched one of them as a head coach last week while you were in San Francisco. I mean, to me, that perfectly describes Kyle Shanahan. He is one of the top 3 offensive coordinators in the NFL. And because of that, he has a head coaching job. I'm not convinced he's one of the top 10 head coaches in the NFL for the job of head coach, but he's so freaking good at the offensive coordinating part of it that you got to have him, because otherwise he's going to be somewhere else, because somebody else will say, well, whatever, I'll deal with not having a perfect head coach in order to have somebody who's such a good coordinator.
Yeah, I had never thought of it that way, but I think that is a good point. I think that sometimes teams, they really prioritize the schemer, which obviously is important. Now you've got it. In a perfect world, you're both. In a perfect world, you give the team that you coach the scheme advantage, and you also
sure, and that's probably why Sean McVay is a better coach than Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, McVay has both of those things. He seems like he gets being the head coach and what that means, and you get his offensive mind. I think Shanahan is just as good an offensive mind as McVay is. Mm-hmm. I think he just doesn't necessarily the decision-making in games, some of the leadership stuff and keeping the team on track. I think I'm not saying he's bad at it, but I don't know if he's one of the best at it. And so then you start to bring it back here to Seattle and say, all right, look at Ryan Grubb. You use the phrase he's a pass-first coordinator in his history. That was a big concern when he came in, and he kept saying, well, that's not really true. We had to run, and, I can adapt what I do and this and that. Have you seen that adapting take place?
Well, no. No, I mean, no, I have not.
Simple answer?
Yeah, they are. I mean, through 10 games, the simple answer is no. They are one of the lowest. I think they're 31st. I know going into that game Sunday, they were 31st in designed rush rate. And I think they're still, in the bottom 2 or 3 teams in terms of designed rush rate. Now, you could look at some of that and say, okay, how much of that is the situations they've been in, right? Where there's a few of those games where they've been chasing big deficits in the second half. Obviously, you're going to be more inclined to pass the ball in that situation. As I mentioned earlier, they have done a horrible job for the most part of staying on schedule, so to speak. So their average distance needed to convert on third down,
I saw that,
going into that game, was 8.9 yards.
That's insane.
It's an insane amount. And their average distance needed on second down was also 8.9 yards. Now, they were quite a bit better in that game on Sunday, but when you're in those second and long, third and long situations, your hand is forced. You're not going to run the ball there. So there has been that. But, yeah, I think you can look at his history. He coordinated one of college football's most pass-heavy offenses the last 2 years at UW. It was also the same at Fresno State in the 3 years before that. So,
is that an awkward fit?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Now, I think in many ways that the hire made a lot of sense when you consider how much that UW offense was humming for the 2 years right in the Seahawks' backyard. Mm-hmm. And from what I've heard, they were pretty interested in what was going on over at Montlake. This organization was, and so in that regard, it made a lot of sense. I think in the sense that you just referenced there, it is an interesting fit because you've got a defensive-minded head coach in Mike McDonald, who wants to play a very specific style of offense. He wants to build things around the run game, and he wants to play tough defense. And so in that sense, it was a curious pairing, and I think that they were very interested, as they were looking at offensive coordinator candidates and looking at Grubb specifically, you're interested in how willing and able was he going to be to make that shift?
Well, so you just used 2 words, and I want to know which one you think is a bigger part of the problem. And by the way, I think you're absolutely right to talk through a lot of the circumstances around it. It's not just willingness or ability to run the ball. Some of it is situation and down and distance and failures and score and all of that stuff absolutely factors in. But do you think the problem with the running game is more about willingness or more about ability?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because I'm a lot more willing to accept the latter. If you're not good at it and you're
Yeah.
just like, he's not a great run schemer and he doesn't have like a great set. Okay, fine. Like I can understand that.
But you're
And
talking
then-
about him,
For
his
running
ability.
Grubb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you were going with the ability of this offensive line to
Well,
block.
Maybe it's
in
that.
the run game.
That's
And we've
another
seen
part. Of it.
some-
I was starting with him. Like, is it willingness or is it ability? Is he not a great run designer and run caller? Or is he just obsessed with passing the ball like a lot of offensive coordinators are?
Yeah, I mean, he has been, I think in his history, he has been an offensive line coach. I believe he's been a run game coordinator in one of his stops. I can't recall the exact resume off the top of my head, but you know, he has that in his background. I think when you talk about ability, I think it could be he doesn't feel like this team is built to run the ball the way. Now, for the same reason, you could question how well built they are to throw the ball, but I mean they've thrown the ball pretty well. I think when you see them, you know, maybe when you see some of the short yardage failures like you have seen over the last 2 games, then maybe that lends credence to the idea that maybe you're just better off.
And maybe Abe Lucas will change some of that. I mean, he is a road grader type of guy at right tackle, and maybe that does change things. But ability, okay, fine. Willingness, like I don't understand how it's not the job of the head coach to just be like, yeah, run the ball.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Run the ball. Like, I never understood why Pete didn't do it more. Like, hey, dude, run the ball. What are you talking about? Run the damn ball. That's what we do here. I don't care if you want to throw the ball. Go somewhere else. If you want to be here, run the ball. Like, that's what we do here. I'm the head coach.
And that's what got Brian Schottenheimer fired. You know, after what was statistically the best offensive season in the Seahawks history. But just one more point on the idea of situational. On first down in 1-score games, they are last in the NFL in design rush rate. So that kind of is the counter to the idea that, some of this is situational, but you're also not going out and trying to establish the run.
All right, good stuff. Brady Henderson's here, and there's a lot to talk about with these Seahawks. That's some of the downside. The upside is the defense came alive on Sunday. We're going to talk a lot more about them coming up in 20 minutes after everything you need to know next.
For Down Territory, going inside the game with former Cougs and Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
What was so special about the last drive?
He was 7 for 8 for 56 yards and rushed for 29 yards and a touchdown on that drive. He was clutch. He's got 10 game-winning drives since 2022. That's the 3rd most in the NFL. And then during that drive, JSN had 4 receptions for 38 yards, 2 receptions on 3rd down. When you need a play and you have a chance, Gino's going to give you that chance.
For Down Territory, every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bump and Stacy.
I'm ready, Slick. Are you?
Get ready, Washington. The pioneers of combining hip-hop and R&B are coming to Muckleshoot Event Center Monday, December 16th. The legendary Belle Biv DeVoe live in concert for one night only. Get your tickets now at muckleshootcasino.com. Belle Biv DeVoe live December 16th. Only at Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
Please game responsibly.
With the holidays here, we often look forward to gathering with family and friends. And the common thing about these gatherings this time of year is they likely have food. But what if you didn't have enough or any food? Hey, Brock Heward here, and we need your help. Food bank supply is at an all-time low, which is leaving many in a state of food insecurity. Well, this month, the Harnish Auto family is working hard to make a big difference, hosting a market-wide food drive to help families in need. Please, if you can, grab some non-perishable food and drop it off at any of the 6 Harnish dealerships. They'll take that food along with a bunch of food from their employees to local food banks. And if you're thinking about a new vehicle, well, I cannot recommend enough the Harnish Auto family. Not only do they give back to their community, they give their customers the best car buying and ownership experience around. My family knows it firsthand. Go visit Kia of Everett, Chevrolet of Everett, Chevrolet Buick GMC of Puyallup, Volkswagen of Puyallup, or Subaru of Puyallup, and drop off your food drive donations today. It's a Harnish Auto family. People matter.
Don't fall, just call Seattle Holiday Lights.
We'll hang them up, we'll take them down, we'll do it right. So call Seattle Holiday Lights. Seattle Holiday Lights. Visit SeattleHolidayLights.com.
Are you interested in investing in real estate in the greater Seattle market, but don't want to manage properties, develop real estate, or sign on debt? Hi, it's Scott Rirucka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital, based in Bellevue. We've been running local real estate investment funds for over 15 years. We've had 0 investor losses and have averaged double-digit returns since inception. Find out why over 800 local investors have invested over $200 million in our Legacy family of funds. Legacy Northwest Fund returned over 12% in both 2007 and 2008. Are you looking at diversification opportunities, especially with what's happening in the market this year? Get in touch with us today. Legacy's family of funds has a limited opening for new investors right now.
Call 425-635-4700 or LegacyG.com. That's LegacyG.com. This is not investment advice. Investment performance based on average return of LOF1, LOF2, and LSF from 2007 through the date of calculation and after deduction of fees and expenses. Legacy family of funds investments are available to accredited investors only.
Build better benefits for your employees with the MBA Health Trust. The Master Builders Association of King and Snohomish Counties offers quality and affordable health benefits for local construction businesses. Learn more at mbahealthtrust.com.
Take your game day experience to the next level with a Mariner Suite. Suites are perfect for birthdays, anniversaries, client meetings, and that company outing you've been trying to plan for months. Enjoy first-class catering, VIP parking, custom setups for 14 to 400 people, and more, all with the help of a dedicated Mariners rep. Suites start at $125 per person, and season ticket members get 15% off. Reserve now at mariners.com/suites.
Munoz strikes out the side, and the ball game is over.
Seahawks Player Spotlight.
Man, it felt good to go out there and be able to contribute.
Exclusive interviews with your favorite Seahawks.
You know, we got a genius as the head coach.
Every day with Wyman and Bob.
Post Malone presents the Big Ass Stadium Tour. 9-time Diamond certified and 16-time Grammy Award nominated phenomenon, Post Malone. His biggest headline tour, live at T-Mobile Park, June 26th. Global superstar Post Malone with Jelly Roll. Pre-sale for City Card members begins Wednesday at noon at LiveNation.com.
Here at NC Machinery, people always ask, what can you do with Cat Compact equipment? Well, here goes. Build gardens, patios, and parking, set posts and poles, plant trees, remove pipes, stumps, and rocks, clear snow, brush, and trees, trench, grade, and maintain. Landscape your backyard, your front yard, your neighbor's yard. Get through doorways, alleyways, and fence gates. Build roads, trails, fire breaks. Move gravel, wood chips, and hay. Clean pens and barns. Break concrete, asphalt, and gravel. Use tools like hammers, tampers, trenchers, mulchers, and mowers. And for the doers doing, the landscapers, contractors, and landowners digging, call NC Machinery to get 0% for 60 months on select compact equipment. Terms and conditions apply.
This city is like none other. In Seattle, we ball out.
Gino steps up, throws the slant. What a catch!
We stand on business.
Turns outfield. Got him under.
We unite 12 as one.
There he goes. DK!
And we get loud.
Touchdown! Seahawks!
Really loud. Because this city lives for Sunday. Get your tickets for Seahawks game days at Lumen Field and experience what this city lives for. Visit Seahawks.com today.
Toyotathon is here at Toyota of Kirkland. To celebrate the event, Toyota of Kirkland purchased extra inventory and has a premium selection of Tundras, Tacomas, RAV4s, Priuses, hybrid Camrys, and the all-new Crown Signa. Toyotathon is here, and Toyota of Kirkland is ready to celebrate with you. Visit the wonderful team and beautiful showroom at Toyota of Kirkland today or online at toyotaofkirkland.com.
O'Brien. Need to know. Brought to you by Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
You're going to have to tell me more about the playoff odds again, Brady, because the Seahawks are going to be in first place if they win this weekend and the Rams somehow lose to the Philadelphia Eagles, which is not like, outside the realm of possibility. Yet you're going to tell me the odds of making the playoffs are like 13%.
Something like that, yeah.
So if they win, they'll be in first place.
Yeah.
And their odds will be at what, like 18%?
No, I imagine they will go up probably a little more than that. But you still got to factor in, I think those projections, those simulations are factoring what they've been over these first 10 games, how the other teams in the division are, shaping up, and then what your remaining schedule looks like. So Yeah, I didn't think they were going to take a huge jump after beating the 49ers, but they did, I think double to about 13%. So, yeah, that reflects a lot. That reflects what is still a very tough schedule, starting with Arizona, which they then play, twice in the span of 3 weeks.
I sent Brady a snarky text on Sunday asking about the playoff
Sure
odds, and he wrote back like, "Oh, those actually get released overnight, so I'll have information for you in the morning," as if I was being serious. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Brady.
Oh, you weren't being a smart.
I was just being
what?
snarky.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just being totally snarky.
I really thought you were curious.
Oh no, just totally snarky. You mentioned playing the Cardinals twice in the span of 3 weeks. Kyler Murray's playing a lot better. John Gambo from our sister station, 98.7, the Arizona Sports Station, had this to say about Kyler Murray.
We went into the season talking about whether if the Cardinals ended up with the number one pick from either them or the Texans, if they would draft Caleb Williams or Drake May. Because we didn't know what we had in Kyler Murray. He had been here for 5 years, and we weren't sure what we had. He was one of those Jay Cutler-type quarterbacks where, he's not good, but he's not great, but he's not terrible. You didn't know what you had. I think he finally committed to being great. That's all. He's here all the time. He's working out here. He's rehabbing here. I think he finally understood that I can't get by just on natural talent alone.
All right, so is Kyler Murray now good?
He might be. He's always had the talent, but as Gambo was referring to there, he was maybe kind of getting by on the talent. He had a comment after a game earlier this season where he talked about, kind of realizing what he had after, being forced to miss a good chunk of last season with the ACL tear. And I wonder if that maybe gave him some perspective that may be helping him.
Is he more accurate now? I mean, the problem I always had watching him was just inaccurate. Big throws, he just missed them. I guess he's not missing them this year, and if that's the case, then, yeah, he could be a very, very dangerous threat for the Seahawks.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
A lot of stuff up in the air for the Mariners right now. Waiting to see what moves they'll make this offseason. They still got to figure out the hitting coach thing, right? Edgar Martinez was a temporary option last year, and I'm sure he'll be involved, but that's still a big position that they need to hire. Anyway, Evan Drellich yesterday, The Athletic, wrote a long piece about what's going on with the league's production and distribution of its TV product. And there is a line there about the Mariners, and I think it could be a little confusing. The way I read it, and I think what this means, is that the team is going to be outsourcing production of its games to the league, but that shouldn't have any effect on any of us. If you're a viewer of the game, this shouldn't affect you at all. This is all about the behind-the-scenes production of the games. The distribution is unaffected by this. Now, my understanding is the Mariners are still hoping to have a direct-to-consumer digital product that'll be available by the beginning of the season, meaning you can watch a game on an app. Specifically, you don't need to have Comcast or DirecTV or Fubo or any other carrier, that they'll have a direct-to-consumer app. But that's not done yet, so we're waiting to see whether or not they can get it done by this season. I know that's their goal. In the meantime, this shouldn't change anything. This is just a behind-the-scenes production deal. Team also has to figure out who's going to be doing play-by-play. Dave Sims is out. He's gone to the Yankees. Mike Blowers wasn't on the air for the final few weeks of last season, so there will be some level of change in the Mariners broadcast, but not because of the outsourcing of the production piece. It's a really good piece by Evan Drellich, by the way, and it's really more about the league than the Mariners. Baseball's going to have to completely change its financial model because, quite frankly, its biggest piece, the largest piece of their revenue has been cable networks. And those are going in the tank. Look what happened yesterday with NBC, Universal, and Comcast. They're spinning off all of their cable properties, and MSNBC, CNBC, Golf Channel, they're all getting spun off, USA, into a separate company.
What's happening to Golf Channel?
Well, it's going to be spun off into a separate company. I think we're going to be okay. In fact, this may end up being better for us when it's all said and done. We may be able to completely ditch cable so that we can just watch the Golf Channel by ourselves.
I need whatever channel gets me football games,
right,
and I need the Golf Channel. That's it. That's the only TV package I want.
I need that and the Mariners, and I'm good to go.
Somebody make me an offer on that exact cable package. I'll give you $20 a month, tops. Final offer.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Mariners did make a couple small moves yesterday. They acquired recently DFA'd infielder Austin Shenton, who they had sent to Tampa a couple of years ago. They get him back. They also DFA'd JT Chargois. Kraken will be back to it tonight against Nashville. Predators are not very good, 6-10-3 this year. I would assume Joey Decord is back in net, and I would assume we'll see Shane Wright again after he was scratched from Sunday's game. Here's what head coach Dan Bilesma said about that.
I think it's
You know, as the games have gone along here, I think Shane's game has been trending in not the best direction. We talked to him today about his training camp and how good he was playing and how strong he was playing and what he was showing off with his skill and his skating and his ability with the puck. That was super evident in training camp, and as the games have gone along here, it's trended in not the greatest direction. And really the message is take a reset, watch the game tonight, which he did, and get back focused on playing the way you can play and the way you played earlier in the season.
Well, I appreciate the action and the accountability from Dan Bilesma. I hope it works out because they need Shane Wright, number 4 pick a couple years ago, to be a guy, to be a scorer, and especially if Eberle's out, they need him. They need his offense. He's talented. It's why he was picked as highly as he was. And don't like to hear that the game has been trending in the wrong direction. Yeah. It's everything you need to know. 15:15 every hour here on the Brock and Salk Show. Brady Henderson is in. Brock will, I believe, still join us for Blue 88 coming up here in 20 minutes. We'll make sure of that. I got a bunch of questions for you, Brady. We went a little negative at the beginning, not necessarily by choice, but we just talking through the offensive coordinator situation, which feels a little dicey. The other side of it, where the defense is at for this team, yeah. Man, did that look good, and I want to discuss next. Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
You didn't think we'd go all the way through all these highlights without playing the game-winning touchdown, right?
Gonna run! 10, 5, Gino! Touchdown! Seahawks!
Dave in the background.
The Dave laugh.
Yeah!
That's pure joy. I can't contain myself.
I love it so much.
And Gino jogged in. I was yelling, run, dog, what you doing? But again, we need to see more of this from Gino. It's an underrated dynamic to his game. There's nothing there. Do what you do.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here with a little advice for anybody who owns a home. Now's the time to save some money by getting your roof replaced during usually a slower season. Riverside Roofing is open and available. They will work quickly to take advantage of dry days and get your roof replaced quickly. Now, if you had a problem last night with the crazy windstorm, yeah, wouldn't be surprised if you saw shingles blown off or you sprung a leak in your house. Make sure you know the number and the website for Riverside Roofing. And as soon as you get your power back up, go to riversideroofingllc.com. These guys are the roofing company you can trust, and they are always evolving, whether it's GAF Master Elite certification or the catch-all system to make sure your yard is clear of harmful debris, the quick quote, which you can find at riversideroofingllc.com, which offers a roof replacement cost in just 60 seconds. Now may be the time to call. First of all, they're offering some great deals, and secondly, last night may have done a number on your roof. So go check it out, and then go to the roofing company you can trust at riversideroofingllc.com.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. This time of year is decision time for a lot of people, but it's also when you can join Medi-Share and save even more than usual. For many families, joining Medi-Share means saving about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people, obviously. But what's more, Medi-Share members like it a lot. Their satisfaction rate is 98%. Imagine that. And Medi-Share is a proven thing, too, for over 30 years. It's a Christian community of hundreds of thousands of people now. And here's the thing. If you join before November 30th and you mention the promo code SHARE, they'll waive your application fee, so you save even more right off the bat. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just call and you'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline is November 30th, so call now and you'll save even more. Here's the number. 877-26-BIBLE. That's 877-26-BIBLE. 877-26-BIBLE.
Hey, Brock Ewart here with Shannon O'Kelly, President and CEO of IRG Physical and Hand Therapy, inviting you to come work with IRG. And Shannon, what kind of staff are you looking for at IRG?
Brock, we're looking for all kinds of clinical staff, physical therapists, occupational therapists, athletic trainers, certified occupational therapy technicians, physical therapy assistants, you name it on the clinical side. We are looking for those folks. But we are really looking for folks that want to come to an organization that want to be part of our culture and change the culture and work with us to provide the best care and service we can to our patients, our team, and our community. So those clinical people out there, we're looking for you. We also provide advanced certification. We want to provide you mentorship. We want you to grow personally and professionally here at IRG.
And with over 40 clinics throughout the Pacific Northwest, you've got the opportunity to work in the city you want. Just head over to irgpt.com/careers. That's irgpt.com/careers.
In the PNW, we all know what driving is like here in the winter. Very slippery. Our friends at Mazda of Everett have your solution. A huge selection of over 600 new Mazda all-wheel drive SUVs. With over 600 new Mazdas in stock to choose from, you can find the Mazda that's best for you. Plus, right now, they've got 0% financing on select new Mazdas on approved credit during the Mazda A Season to Move You sales event. See for yourself why Mazda of Everett is different. MazdaofEverett.com.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
Direct savings and client focus, the cornerstones of the Diamond Dave philosophy.
Hi, I'm Diamond Dave Cantor. My team and I at Cantor Diamond can be your trusted friends with an inside scoop on the diamond world.
Just like they are to thousands of people around the world.
And just like we have been for over 34 years.
At Cantor Diamond, it's all about the diamonds and the savings, not paying for high-end retail locations or the overhead of a mall.
You stand to save big time with our by appointment professional office approach, combined with direct importing.
When you choose Cantor Diamond, you choose huge savings, top quality, and excellent service. Call, email, or message us for an in-person appointment.
Or sit back and relax for free FedEx shipping anywhere in the USA.
Call Diamond Dave at 253-272-7007. That's 253-272-7007. Or follow them on Instagram at Cantor Diamond. That's at KANTOR Diamond.
Matt Coker here from West Coast Men's Health. Guys, if you're taking Viagra or any other pill for ED, I want you to ask yourself this question. Do I want to continue to do this for the rest of my life? If you're like most men, the answer is no. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we can restore blood flow naturally without pumping your body full of chemicals like you've been doing. Guys, you need to come in today and fix this problem now. Why are you putting this off? Viagra's not going to magically start working next week, and you don't want to use shots or go under the knife. Call us today and speak with our clinic manager. Ask him any question you like, how it works, the science behind it, and even the cost. Change your life today like the thousands of men who already have. If you're tired of dealing with ED or Peyronie's disease, then call West Coast Men's Health.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
This hour of the Brock and Salk Show is powered by Star Rentals, preferred supplier to the West's best contractors.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
All right, Brock will join us for Blue 88 in 15 minutes. Brady Henderson is here right now, so we're sort of like reversing a guest for a host, and Brady's hosting, and Brock's a guest. And then Daniel Jeremiah will join us in an hour, as he always does on Wednesdays. Shannon Dreyer, I think, at 9:30, assuming her phone is working and stuff with the power outages across the east side. Hope everybody is good and safe and everything else today. Brady, is this the real defense that we saw on Sunday? I mean, it does feel like it was trending in that direction. The game against the Rams, the defense looked better. And then what we saw on Sunday was one of the better defensive efforts against a high-quality opponent I can remember in a while.
Yeah, they stopped the run against the Rams, and they really well. And they did that for the most part against San Francisco. Now, the rushing average was a little over 4 yards. That's pretty good. And some of that was Brock Purdy scrambling, which you knew going into the game was going to be an issue. Mike McDonald talked about it. Purdy is extending plays more, and he's, I think, more athletic than you might think just by looking at him. But for the most part, they did a really good job of shutting down that San Francisco running game. And Brian Baldinger had a really great breakdown, one of his Baldy breakdowns. And he was focusing more on kind of how San Francisco screwed up in that regard a lot of times and you know, just screwed up some of their blocking schemes that usually they're really good at. But the other side of that, obviously, is that the Seahawks did a really nice job of that and setting the edge and tackling. And they were getting a lot of people to the ball, which, you know, obviously is a big part of limiting explosive plays. I think the really encouraging thing was, in addition to that, was, you know, they just did not allow nearly as many explosive plays. I think San Francisco had only one play over 14 yards. It was a 22-yard Juwan Jennings catch. There were 7 of those in that first meeting. So when you look at differences from the first meeting to the second one, start right there. It was stopping the run better and limiting explosive plays.
But what do you think led to it? I mean, you and I spent time on Friday talking about this defense and specifically saying, hey, there can be a lot of different human beings out there.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, people matter. 40% of your offensive line was different in this game than the last time. That sure seemed like it had an effect. At least 50% of your defense were different human beings than they were the last time they played. Not all of them, by the way, were necessarily upgrades, but sure, it seemed like different human beings made a difference.
I think all of them might be upgrades.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's a single one that's not an upgrade.
Yeah.
Like we counted it was 6 or 7 guys.
Yeah.
On defense, including the third cornerback, so and including some depth pieces there. So
yeah, Woolen didn't play in that game. Job has come in. Trey Brown is no longer in there.
Yeah, they didn't have Murphy in the first game. Didn't have
Robertson Harris, another one where we haven't talked much about him. He seems like a pretty solid option, and in that first game against San Francisco, that role was played by Mike Morris, right?
Yeah.
So that's an upgrade.
Yeah, and look,
linebackers,
right? You think of those defensive linemen who aren't starters as backups. Remember, they rotate those guys a ton. So a guy like Roy Robertson Harris, he's not technically a starter, but he's playing 20, 25 snaps, something like that per game. So and that was a huge upgrade from the depth guys they had in that rotation. So obviously the 2 linebackers were both swapped out, and Ernest Jones and Tyrese Knight, and we'll talk about Ernest Jones, but he's a huge upgrade over what they had. So I think that is a huge part of it. Also helped that you had a bye to really figure some things out schematically. And again, guys were seemed more committed to running to the ball and tackling. And I do think we'll talk about Ernest Jones. I think not only is he himself an upgrade, I think there's a case to be made that he's elevating players around him.
Well, so let's talk about him specifically because he does seem like a difference maker. I do want to play some of this Mike McDonald sound from Monday that Brock and I talked about yesterday. But first off, he's due for an extension.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that this is something they'll want to get done. I mean, why else would you have traded for him at this point of the year? Based on what you've seen, you got to imagine he's a guy they want to extend, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's start with that as a premise that, yes, they will try to extend him now or into this offseason. How does that affect everybody else?
In terms of the other guys they've got to pay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Little sneeze action in here. Sorry about that.
Yeah, bless you. That was not quite a dad sneeze, but that was pretty good.
That was me trying to limit the full dad sneeze.
Yeah, you figured
home,
my mic would pick it up.
I go big.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
I try to shake the house.
Yeah, they've got a lot of guys to pay, and it's not going to be easy. Remember, everybody, all those great players that they drafted in the 2022 draft, those guys are all going to be due for extensions, as is Geno Smith, as is DK Metcalf. So then you've got, Boye Mafe, Reek Woolen, Charles Cross, your stud left tackle, is going to be in line for a massive deal.
Ken Walker
III. Abe Lucas is also due, but I think you're probably in wait and see mode to see how how the knee holds up.
But if it holds up,
he could be another guy. So you're talking about a lot of guys who are going to need to get paid, and but they knew that full well when they traded for Ernest Jones, and so I think it's clear their MO is that when they trade for a guy, they're not going to pay him right away, and I think they learned a lesson there with Percy Harvin and how much kind of resentment that can create in the locker room. And not only that, but you want to make sure you know who the guy is before you pay him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's clear who Ernest Jones is. He's a really solid dude, a leader, and I think it's becoming clear what kind of player he is too. And so, Brock made this point the other day when I talked to him on the phone is that something maybe they could do before the end of the season? Maybe you get a head start on that, keep him from getting to free agency. I think that's an interesting thought, but he looks like a guy you got to pay.
You talk to Brock on the phone?
I do. Yeah. Why? Wow. You seem offended by that.
No, I'm not offended. I'm just kind of curious, what you call him to
Offended or jealous?
No, neither. I'm just sort of curious. Not a lot of people. Lyle doesn't even know what a phone is.
What do you mean? I call him every night. He just said that the other day.
Yeah. Well.
What do you do? What do you talk about?
Well, he called me last night looking. He wanted me to dig up some numbers to help him out.
Now it all comes together. He wanted to use you as an intern.
Well, no. I pick Brock's brain all the time too.
No, I get it. Here's a little bit more on Ernest Jones, though. So this is what Mike McDonald said when we asked about getting to know him on Monday, and it leads to a whole conversation about the types of guys he wants.
Man, I think we're still getting to know him too. But he's like Cool Hand Luke, man. He's just super, he's just steady, poised, loves ball. He's just we love guys that love football because we're going to do a lot of it. And if you love it, then the process will kind of We believe that if we do it right, we'll take care of itself, and you kind of grow throughout doing it. If you kind of resist the process and like football is not fun to you, and you're kind of like, you like what football does for you, but you don't like doing football, this isn't a great program for you, because we do a lot of it and we're constantly talking it all the time. And so he's one of those guys that loves ball.
Yeah, that's an interesting comment there, is talking about wanting guys who love football as opposed to they love what football provides them. And I think as we see the decisions they make this offseason on who they pay and who they don't pay, I think that'll be an interesting comment to revisit when you start looking at the why of some of those decisions. But, yeah, the point is, Ernest Jones, he seems like he could be a long-term fixture here. Again, it's not going to be easy because they've got a lot of guys to pay, but
it looked like that was the best game played by a Seattle linebacker in a few years. Probably
maybe,
going back to before Bobby left for LA.
Yeah, maybe. And so he made 13 tackles, and Corbin Smith did a nice job of pointing this out. And I went back and looked it up as well, that I think of those 13, I want to say 7 of them were for gains of 0 to 3 yards. So it wasn't like he was, in other words,
hanging
just
on
making
8 yards downfield.
Yeah, making just, cleaning up tackles 5, 6, 7, 8 yards down the field, which, like, okay, you see some linebackers rack up these huge, tackle stats, but it's really like, okay, did you
somebody had to make the tackle.
Yeah, somebody had to make the tackle. Like, did you really have a good game if you make a bunch of tackles that, are 5, 6, 7, 8 yards down the field? No. But he did, he was not doing that. He was, there was a lot of stops. There were some instinctive plays.
I was going to say, you almost didn't even need the stats to tell you that. You just need to watch the game. You could have watched the game, never looked at the box score, never seen any advanced metrics or anything. Been like, that guy had a good game.
Yeah.
He was in the right positions. They called his name a lot. He has the stopping power. He was physical. He played with a lot of speed and a lot of anticipation. He fought through blocks. He didn't go under. Like, he did all the things that you kind of want your middle linebacker to do, and that, quite frankly, has been missing here in Seattle for a while. And so come back then to his point there about, guys that love ball. I was saying to Brock yesterday that I wonder, and I actually probably feel like in this system, that's maybe even more important than it is for other teams. Pete needed guys that loved playing, right? I mean, I don't know how complicated the scheme was. He needed guys who loved being there and loved running around with their hair on fire and loved competing. And I'm not saying that he wouldn't want a guy that was, addicted to watching film. That would be great. But I don't know whether it was as important in Pete's system as it would be for Mike McDonald, who, I'm sure would also love guys who love the game and love running around with their hair on fire and competition and everything else. But does he need, especially for this defense, guys that are like really into watching the film and all of the prep and stuff that works for his more complicated scheme?
That could be. Yeah, you certainly got to be heady to play in a system like this. I think the thing with
Not just heady, willing and wanting to do the work, to just learn it, to memorize it, to understand how what does he say? Layering or whatever it was, like where you layer.
In terms of their run defense?
Yeah, like, okay, this is, in terms of, this is the beginning of it, but then we layer on another play on top of it, so we make it look like one thing and go to another thing. That seems pretty darn integral to what he's trying to do here.
Yeah, and with Ernest Jones, I think it helps that he's been in a system, at least for the last, 6, 7 months, with Tennessee, who runs a similar defense as the one McDonald does. The interesting part to me about kind of the impact he's making is, remember, I go back to what Leonard Williams said, a couple weeks ago, when he was talking about how part of the issue in run defense was guys really not trusting other guys to do what they're supposed to do. And he used the example of himself. If I'm not sure the guy next to me is going to make the play, then I'm going to, be sort of playing two gaps as opposed to, playing my responsibility. And then all of a sudden I get beat because the guy goes to the gap I was supposed to be in. I wonder if Ernest Jones can be a difference maker in that regard, not just with his own play and the play that he makes, but giving other guys the confidence to do their job and to be disciplined.
Like, that he's going to clean it up. I don't have to worry about his gap.
He's going to
get
do his
done.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a pretty sure tackler.
He is.
I mean, he comes up and he hits you.
He does.
He lets you know that he's there.
Yeah, and he plays fast, but also in control. And man, I just think he could be a difference maker for them, not just because of the plays he makes. I wonder, too, if there's a confidence that he instills in other players.
On the other side of the line, 40% change in your offensive line when Abe Lucas was in there, it sure seemed to make a difference.
It did, yeah. And look, Abe Lucas didn't play the entire game. It was 42 of 60 snaps. You figured, we talked about this, that they would not give him, they would not put him out there for every single play in his first game in almost 11 months. I thought Abe did pretty well, and he certainly got gassed at the end of that game. He said it, and you could tell on that final drive he was huffing and puffing. But for the most part, he did a nice job. That first play of the game, he gets his guy, drives him, across the field. He did have the one play where Bosa beat him for the half sack, but it did look like, as a bunch of people pointed out, he was expecting help from Charbonnet there, and he didn't get it. And he spent a lot of time matched up against Bosa. Now, Bosa this season has been playing on both sides somewhat equally. He was mostly on the left side, meaning the offense is right. So that seemed like a matchup they were really trying to exploit. Mm-hmm. And I thought, for the most part, while Bosa was in there, he left midway through the third quarter. For the most part, Abe Lucas held his own against maybe the best edge rusher in the NFL.
And it did change the game when Bosa left. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He is a game-changing kind of player. I know there's people that get upset when we point that out. Like, well, you have to point it out. It was part of the game. I mean, it's not a surprise that Abe Lucas was better against people that aren't Nick Bosa than he was against Nick Bosa. That's not like a denigrating his performance.
Yeah, that's any right tackle, left tackle.
But he did pretty well.
He did.
And again, just like we talked about on Friday, it's not just his ability to clean up some of the problems. It's his ability to actually create for the offense. And he's a creator. Now, at the center position, maybe it was more of a cleaning up some of the problems. I don't know if Olu's like a dominant player where you have to get him in. But if you're just cleaning up the problems in the pass blocking, that sure seemed like, an incredibly relevant, important piece of that game.
And Olu, I thought, had a really good day in terms of pass blocking. Now, the number, our ESPN research was that he was, I think, 27 of 23 or 23. He had a perfect pass block win rate. Now, there's obviously subjectivity in when you're deciding.
McDonald backed that up. I mean, Brock brought it up, and he was like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Yeah, now some of those plays you could look at that and say, did he really win that one or not? But the bottom line is he had a really nice day in pass protection. By the way, on somewhat short notice, I think McDonald said he only found out on Wednesday that he was starting. I do wonder if he maybe thought there was a chance he was going to be starting, because it did sound like they considered that moving Connor Williams to right guard and then putting Olu at center. So I don't know exactly what happened there, but Olu had a pretty good day pass blocking. He got pushed back on the 4th and 1, stop where they hand off to Charbonnet at fullback. Olu got pushed back, and I do think you might get some of those plays like that just because he's not an overpowering physical presence. But for his first start of the season on short notice against that front, that was really good.
All right, let's ask Brock some football questions.
This is Brock and Salk's Blue 88.
Blue 88! Blue 88!
We take you to the field as Brock Ewart breaks down 3 football questions as only he can.
Now here's your hosts, Brock Ewart and Mike Salk.
Good morning, buddy.
Good morning. Why was I picturing Brady Henderson climbing up his sail and screaming at that storm like Lieutenant Dan last night?
Yeah. Brady had to get up on the poop deck.
The fly bridge. Yeah.
On the fly bridge, huh? Was it crazy?
It was pretty
wild?
Yeah, there was some stuff rattling around up there, so I had to go secure it before I woke up in the middle of the night hearing it crash on the dock. Wouldn't be good.
Attaboy.
Yep.
Attaboy. Way to go, Lieutenant Dan.
How's
Good.
Stillwater?
All right. Going to be a lot of kids. Kid day. That's why the early tip-off this morning, they let the kids out of school. And so going to be some really high-pitched screaming. I remember this, the Missoula. So kind of cool deal.
That's the game you decided you want to go to, the one with the high-pitched screaming?
I'm trying to go to all of them, Michael. I'm trying to, as you said the other day, it's kind of like catnip, watching your kid play.
Very addictive.
Kind of fun.
Yeah.
Kind of addictive. Kind of fun.
I'm going to guess the level of competition's a little better in the Big 12 than it is in the local CYO league. But anyway.
The Big 12, brother.
It's not intramurals, brother.
No, it isn't.
Intramurals, brother.
All right, question number 1 for you, Brock. We have to practice this for the wedding when I'm going to be helping you with your speech, asking you Blue 88 questions. Question
Blue
number
Haley
1,
8.
Blue
Blue
Haley
Haley
8.
8, yeah.
Something old, something new, something borrowed, something Blue 88. Talking to Gambo yesterday and hearing about the Cardinals, what stood out? I mean, what as you think about playing this team twice in 3 weeks, what either impressed you or worried you about the Cardinals?
Yeah, and I think this was echoed even more, jumping on with Wolf and Luke after our show yesterday. So jumping on with them and trying to kind of reciprocate the relationship, and hearing from particular Wolf just saying, man, the guys have bought in. You know, we're kind of seeing that. I think that we felt like this is the last few weeks with the Seahawks defense been a turning point of buying in, all the guys playing for one another, especially on that side of the ball. And that's been one of the bigger keys, is that Jonathan Gannon, and we sensed that, by the way, last year when Arizona came up to Seattle with Dobbs and played to the wire. Obviously the missed kick in the finale last year, otherwise Arizona wins that game. And as quirky and as awkward at times as Jonathan Gannon is, I think what struck me from both Gambo, Wolf, our partners down there, was, no, this dude's the real deal. Like, he's genuine. And the locker room, and the Kyler Murrays in the locker room, and some of the backups that are being thrown into the mix are certainly buying in. And you see it with how hard they're playing. They're not the most talented team. They're not going to be as talented as the Rams or as talented as the 49ers, and their roster is depleted with a bunch of injuries. But when you get buy-in from everybody involved and a little chip on your shoulder too, that can be a little dangerous recipe, and I think it's a big part of why they're 6-4.
Question number 2. Brock, you and I had a good conversation about shotgun percentages, did we not?
Well, the last couple of days, Brady, we've had great conversations off the air. Just, you're filling me with all sorts of stats. I'm filling you with a lot of hot air. I love it.
It hasn't been in tub time, though. I've been trying to catch you in tub time, but we haven't been able to do that. But anyways, shotgun.
You don't want that.
Yeah, we were looking at
that.
Yeah, you made the point of how much college offenses basically live in shotgun. And I'll give you a stat here. UW, the shotgun percentage they had under Grubb the last 2 seasons was right around what they were over the first 9 games. It was 80-something%. And that was only 86th among all college football teams. You got a lot of teams in the 90s. My question for you, Brock, is why is it easier for college teams to live in shotgun more so than it is for NFL teams to do that?
I bet it has something to do with the hash marks.
Yeah, it's just space, right? Just speed and space. So many of these.
It's always the hash marks, Brady.
It's always the speed and the space, and getting the ball out of your hands that much quicker, right? You think, well, under center, no, you got to get away from the line, and they run so many plays, so many tunnel screens and bubble screens, and the screen game is so much more available to you because there's so much more space to operate in the college level than there is with hash marks, a little bit more of a phone booth in the NFL. Yeah, it is striking to me. I've got Colorado this week, and I think they're in the gun, Brady, something like 92%. I'm like, wow, that's got to be top 10 in college football. No, it was like 56. Like there's teams that are 100%. Hawaii, 100%. Like they just don't ever even try to attempt it and get under center. And the other thing is and we see this at the NFL with 32 teams struggling to populate offensive lines. You get into the college football game and you get away from the Power 4 conferences, and the offensive lines are not pretty at all. So the only way sometimes to function is to get away from the line of scrimmage, and the shotgun certainly aids that.
All right, question number 3. Brady wrote about, and we talked about Ryan Grubb and the Seahawks offense, and some of the awkward fit. Brock, you and I have talked about it a little bit too, with the kind of lack of run game credentials and a defensive coach that obviously does kind of desire that as part of his system. Brady used the phrase, they haven't been willing or able. Do you think it's more about a willingness to run the ball with Grubb or an ability to run the ball with Grubb?
Ooh, yeah. I think those two are obviously commingled, especially for the play caller. And I was just listening to Joel Klatt the other day, and he said this really well, Salk, and this is right up your alley. And he's like, the biggest call for play callers, we all think the third down is the money down. The third down is like in a blackjack hand when the cards have already been kind of dealt to you. The most important is, those first two. It's not the decision you make with the cards. It's what gets laid down, and that's first down. First down for a play caller is the most critical down in your odds and what you want to do. And when you don't run it, you see it all the time, or you don't run it well, or you got numbers and you can't execute. That would be your ability. Your willingness to call first down run, like, yeah, I'm willing to do it. Now I got to see, and you got to have the ability to get me 2 or 3 yards. Otherwise, now the odds are all in the house's favor. And I get to 3rd and 9, which we know was, their average going into last week. Did that change at all, Brady? Did last week improve the Seahawks' average third down distance? Because I know going into that game, right, they were league worst at 3rd and 8.9 or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, and it was their average on second down was also 8.9, and they did a much better job of staying ahead of the sticks in that game.
Yeah, so I think they do, not to dodge it, but those things are so commingled. And I think if you really want to answer it and you really want to study it, study first down calls here over the next 7 weeks. If they're going to try to hang their hat with Abe Lucas now as a people mover, with now Olu is a facilitator of the guys around him, and that O-line functioning, can you just have some first down rush success to set the table for the rest of it? I think of anything that Mike McDonald, that defensive-minded head coach, would love to see some of that production on early downs to stay on the field and run it more successfully.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you. That's a tremendous Blue 88 for today. And have fun in Stillwater. I hope Macy plays a ton. I hope she plays well.
Well, yeah, just do her best. That's all that, right? Just like you when you're coaching on the bench or you watch Seth's games or Avery's concerts, just give me your best effort. That's all I really care about, right?
Got to play with confidence. More in basketball than any other sport, right?
Quarterbacking too. Yeah, you don't play confidence with confidence at quarterback. You've got 0.0 because the other 10 guys in the huddle feel it. So does your opponent. But yes, basketball the same way. When that ball leaves your hands, you got to believe it's going in every single time.
And even just your ability to move around the court and all of it. I always felt like basketball was 100%. A confidence sport more than anything else. All right, have fun.
It shows itself. No helmet, no pads. You're exposed.
Darn right.
You see it all, no question.
All
right, boys. Be well.
We'll see you tomorrow. Yeah. There you go. There's Brock helping us out today for Blue 88. He'll be back, though, at 9 o'clock for Washington Wednesday, which will be very exciting. And he'll have some thoughts on the quarterback situation at UW. Brady, let's go around the NFL next. There's some great storylines, including what appears to be the first ever coach GM player in the history of the NFL. It's coming up on Brock and Salk.
When you're running the hurry up and don't have time for your favorite Seattle sports shows, listen to the podcast on demand.
How about that? Unbelievable. Who would have thought?
Every hour, every interview, every look behind the scenes.
He is your new Seahawks head coach, Mike McDonald.
We want to play a certain way, and you're just going to chisel away at it every day.
Find us on seattlesports.com, the Seattle Sports app, or wherever you get podcasts.
All signs continue to point to it being the right hire.
Never miss a minute of Seattle sports, the home of the Seahawks.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Don't fall, just call Seattle Holiday Lights. We'll hang them up, we'll take them down, we'll do it right. So call Seattle Holiday Lights. Seattle Holiday Lights.
Visit SeattleHolidayLights.com.
As a Lennox Premier Partner, Home Comfort Alliance has a long history of 5-star customer satisfaction. Get a dependable, energy-efficient new heat pump and save up to $4,000 when you mention the Curly Cash discount. Call the comfort people, homecomfortalliance.com.
At Sound Pain Solutions, some of the most difficult cases we see are patients suffering from failed back surgery syndrome. Bill is an avid golfer, but his pain got so bad he couldn't play and was considering surgery.
My back was killing me. I could not play any more golf. I could not walk more than half a block. I did not want surgery on my back, and I researched many different ways of getting this fixed. Behind that was horror stories from my friends who had back surgery, but it wasn't worth it, and I just made conclusion to that. There's got to be another way.
I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic neurologist at Sound Pain Solutions. We were able to get Bill back on the course without the risk of surgery. We did this using non-invasive, FDA-cleared procedures like non-surgical decompression, laser, pressure wave, and bioelectrical treatments. Now, Bill is back to playing golf and enjoying life. Schedule a free consultation to learn if you qualify for our non-surgical and drug-free treatment by calling Sound Pain Solutions or visiting soundpainsolutions.com.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
Make this holiday season extra special in the kitchen of your dreams while saving thousands. Hi, this is Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Our solid wood refacing system delivers a luxurious new kitchen, way easier and less expensive than a total tear out. Book now, have your new kitchen before the holidays, and you'll save an additional 15% up to $3,000 off your new kitchen. Call now for a free in-home consultation. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600, 425-485-1600, or heritagehomecraft.com.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Get the freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
I don't read the internet, guys.
Take the bull by the hands.
And Brooke, you are. And Brooke, you are.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Eward and Mike Salk.
All right, let's see. Daniel Jeremiah in 30 minutes. Husky fans, we've got a good watch on Wednesday. Coming up an hour from now at 9 o'clock, Brady Henderson is in for Brock for another hour, which is great. Brady, good to have you, and I think you'll enjoy this segment. This is where we go around the NFL.
All right, first up, the Athletics.
Hey, it's
Diana.
Maura.
Hi.
We haven't heard from you in a while. What have you been doing back there?
Working.
Okay. Hi, Maura.
Hi. The Athletics, Diana Rossini said on her Scoop City podcast with Chase Daniels that there were 7 head coaching vacancies last offseason, and she could see there being as many as 10 this offseason.
Wow.
10.
It's mid-November, and I feel like we need to just discuss the fact that I think we're going to be talking about 9, 10 openings.
Stop it.
And it's only
10?
November. It only
I just went
gets
through the
worse.
list. I can only find 8.
Well, that's what's fun about this exercise. Okay, so look at it this way. There's a bunch of the obvious ones that we've been talking about since pretty much last year. But then there's always an outlier team. Always. No matter what you say, no matter what you think, there's always that team that you're like, oh my God. Then maybe you have possible people stepping away, right? You have to consider those. Is that on the table for any coaches that don't want to do it anymore, right? You have a lot of these little scenarios that you have to think about.
10 head coaching changes?
Yeah, I'm going through them in my head right now. I mean,
Dallas
is obviously
Jacksonville,
one of them. Jacksonville,
Jets,
maybe Raiders. Although I don't know if they would go one and done.
Well,
with...
she was counting the Jets and the Saints already have.
Oh, so those counted in there?
I believe yes.
Okay.
Oh, because
that helps.
They have interims. Yeah.
Bears, Giants,
possibly Bengals.
Yeah,
Nick Sirianni save himself in Philly. I mean, they're playing really good football right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess it depends on if they keep it up.
You mentioned the Giants?
Yeah.
Good. You should mention them again.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when she talks about people that might step away, I think McVay's still up in the air.
Andy Reid? At some point, Andy Reid's going to step away, right?
I think he just signed a new contract, didn't he?
Crazy.
Yeah.
I can't get over
Von Laruski. Von Laruski do.
You like those commercials?
No, but they are catchy.
Are they going to keep
I really
Antonio
liked.
Pierce around in
Right.
Vegas?
Yeah.
I did like the one where, never mind. Let's move on.
Okay.
I don't want to get into the State Farm commercials.
And people might be wondering about McVay. I mean, it's been on record that he is such a grinder, and he, this stuff weighs so heavily on him that he has thought in the past. I think he's openly said in the past he's thought about maybe taking some time away just because it weighs.
Yeah.
Just the coaching stuff really weighs.
Well, and you've got some dudes. You got Vrabel out there. You got Belichick out there. Ben Johnson is going to be a super hot candidate after what he's done with the
She
Detroit
brought up,
offense.
Brian Flores again too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Brian Flores, I think, is a good coach. So, yeah, you got some dudes out there.
There seems to be some, feel out there that Ben Johnson may have been holding out for this Bears job, but we'll see. I think just the idea of young quarterback, good offense, at least good offensive upside.
Matt Eberflus should be fired, right?
I mentioned the Bears.
He can't possibly keep his job.
No, he's 14-30 as a head coach, and they're ruining Caleb Williams with him.
Yeah, and Mike McCarthy, unfortunately, seems like the writing's been on the wall with him for a couple of years now, and it's just impossible to imagine him surviving this season.
Yeah, I think Schefter said yesterday they will let him finish the season, but he's just
That's nice of them.
basically dead man walking. Yeah.
Thanks, Gary.
Rich Eisen tried to make sense out of the Jets firing their GM Joe Douglas on his show yesterday, but couldn't quite get there.
The season, I don't know. I sit here and I wonder, is he being told by ownership to cut people and he refused to do it, and then so it's insubordinate and we're going to fire you? We know we're going to fire you anyway. Let's clear house now. Normally, I'd say that's an indication to some coach that's out there that's saying, I want this, I want that in terms of shopping for groceries. So you fire the grocery shopper now to send an indication that that's the case. And the only guy that you would make such a statement for is Bill Belichick. And there is a warm place that would have to freeze over like Antarctica on top of the Arctic times Greenland, and then to the Iceland degree. Like that's how much it would have to freeze over before he takes the job.
Yeah, Belichick hates the Jets.
Yeah.
Hates the organization, hates everything about it.
Yeah, I remember he had that famous, 1 or 2 day stint as he was technically the head coach in the offseason, and then he resigned, and he did so on a napkin where he said, "I resign as HC of the NYJ." And obviously there's been bad blood there forever. He on one of the Manning casts earlier this season, he sort of tweaked ownership there. But look, Rich, let me help you out here. It's really not that complicated as to why Joe Douglas got fired. He's been the GM for 5.5 seasons in New York. They have not had a winning record. They have not made the playoffs. It's not that complicated.
Well, it is.
And their quarterback play
I
has been
disagree
terrible.
with you. I think it is more complicated. Some of it is the quarterback play. There's no doubt in that record. But some of it is not. Was he really ever allowed to do his job the way he wanted to there, or is the owner so thoroughly involved in everything that happens, and the owner seems to be incompetent at it? And oh, by the way, he went out, forced him to go get Aaron Rodgers, and then gave Aaron the keys to the car. And now Aaron's really the shadow GM and the shadow coach and the quarterback, and he's getting old, and he can't throw anymore, and he's a pain in everybody's butt. Yeah, all right, yes, Joe Douglas part of the problem. Maybe he should have been fired anyway, but don't tell me he's the whole problem.
Well, yeah, I think there's a lot of situations in the NFL where owners will meddle in decisions. And look,
not like that.
Team was bad before the whole Aaron Rodgers thing. Are we sure, by the way, that he forced Joe Douglas's hand?
That does seem
Aaron
to be
Rodgers?
the idea that ownership met with him and kind of foisted upon him.
Okay, well, I mean, that didn't seem at the time like a bad move to try to get Aaron Rodgers when the quarterback play had been so terrible there for the last few years, in large part because they totally whiffed on taking Zach Wilson second overall.
Zach Wilson has a higher
Giving me the push
higher
signal.
winning percentage at quarterback of the Jets than Aaron Rodgers does.
All right.
Good
Well,
for him.
Let's move over to another dysfunctional franchise, the Giants. On the Lombardi line, former NFL executive Michael Lombardi raised a good point about the money the Giants wasted on Drew Lock this offseason while watching Saquon Barkley sign with their division rival.
You gave Drew Lock $5 million. You said you had no money. You had no money for Saquon Barkley, who then went to your rival, who then went down the street, and you have to watch him have an MVP-like season. You gave $5 million to Drew Lock. If you don't sign Drew Lock, you make DeVito the number 2 and you sign somebody else. I don't know who. Somebody else. You save the $5 million and give it to Saquon Barkley. Maybe that's the right thing to do. Right? But this is why the Giants are a mess.
And they of course, are not playing Drew Lock now.
Yeah, they're tanking. I think they're tanking. They want to sell. They want to get butts in seats. They want to be interesting. The way you do that is you play the sort of New York local boy done good story,
Right.
and
So
Tommy
lose and
DeVito.
sell tickets.
But Joe Shane and Brian Daboll can't afford to tank. Their jobs are on the line. So is that coming from ownership?
Yeah. Again, a lot of owners are the most powerful people in the building.
Yeah,
for
but in
obvious
this
reasons.
case, those guys no longer deserve to have the control. Right. I mean, like Joe Shane and Brian Daboll have not done a good job. Like, it's time to move on from those guys. And so, yes, ownership does need to step in and say, all right, here's the best way for us to move forward. Sell tickets, tank, get a better draft pick, get rid of, Daniel Jones in the offseason, and we'll try to start this thing over with Shedeur Sanders or whoever it is next.
Yeah, and remember that when Tommy DeVito took over last season, that was a big sort of kind of sideshow story that got a lot of attention because he's a local guy. His agent is I don't know if you ever saw like the guy looked like a cartoon character on the sideline with some of
It
his
was like
outfits.
a Sopranos character.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, I think they're maybe hoping that generates some interest in the team in a way that Drew Lock, even though he's probably a much, much better quarterback than Tommy DeVito, I think they're going for more sort of interest as opposed to trying to really win football games.
Are we ready for Tommy DeVito against Cooper Rush on Thanksgiving?
Oh, is that the matchup?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Tommy Cutlets.
Tommy Cutlets.
All right,
I'll be sure to be in a food coma.
Good
during
quick
that
trip
game.
around the NFL. Thank you, Maura. Good stuff as always. Daniel Jeremiah coming up in 20 minutes, and then Washington Wednesday coming up after that with some very intriguing looks into the quarterback situation there with Brock. We'll do that at 9. Up next, we got everything you need to know. It's Brock and Salk with Brady Henderson. Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Would you call this, considering the opponent, where the game took place, and basically what was at stake, was this the best defensive performance of the season?
Yeah, I think so.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
It was amazing how they just executed and everything was just so tight. The margins were so tight. But for the most part, what I saw was guys winning their individual battles, and that they allowed one play over 20 yards. That's what happened.
That was an impressive day for the defense.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hey, Brock Ewart here with my buddy Dave Taylor from First Mark Insurance. So glad, so thankful that Molly and I made the call. Had heard so many First Mark Challenge victories, we needed to take that challenge. What does happen from your perspective when that caller, when that email, when that person reaches out to you for a First Mark Challenge victory?
That's a great question. So there's several steps we go through in the process. The first step is we're going to gather information, find out all we can about that client and what their needs are. The next step is we will go out to the market. We have dozens and dozens of carriers that will compete for the business. At the end of that process, we will then bring those findings back to the customer, show them what we found, and who the eventual winner was in that competition.
And it may be who they're with.
It might be, yes. And sometimes that's the best we can do is recommend they stay where they are, but maybe modify a few coverages to put them in a better position.
So go take that challenge today. Go be the next First Mark Challenge victory. It costs you nothing, and they will be there with you every step of the way. FirstMarkInsurance.com. FirstMarkInsurance.com.
Paid for by government. Now is the time to fill your vault with Morgan Silver Bars. Grab your piece of America's silver legacy with this special offer. These spectacular shining silver bars featuring a crisp image of the iconic Morgan silver dollar, a legendary coin that has captivated collectors for generations. Americans treasure owning silver bars and coins, putting them away for themselves and their loved ones. Call now to secure 1-ounce silver bars minted in 99.9% pure silver and made in the USA. You'll be glad you did. Hurry, don't miss out on this special deal. Save $10 per silver bar. The more you buy, the more you save. Limit of 25 bars per customer. Call to learn more. Plus, with qualifying orders, you'll receive a free Morgan Silver Dollar. That's a $59.95 value and free shipping. Call 1-800-222-3967 now to secure your 1-ounce Morgan Silver Dollar bars. That's 1-800-222-3967.
Now that the rain is here, I remember my conversation with Anthony, the owner of Asset Roofing, about metal roofs. And not only are metal roofs not loud when it rains, they're more eco-friendly, last twice as long, and Asset Roofing can do them for up to 30% less than their competitors. You can find out more at AssetRoofingCo.com. That's AssetRoofingCo.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
I've always said, the car sales in the 1980s and 1990s, earned the rep that we have today. The concerns that consumers have because of what has happened in our industry in the past, they're warranted. It's our job to show them that that's not how business is done anymore, right? It's very different business. It's much more transparent. There's much more information that's available to people. And we're much more customer focused than I think the car industry was, 20, 30 years ago. I'm more focused on providing good customer service and relationships because I think if you take care of people, money will always come. So I think just the philosophy and the focus for us has changed, where I was constantly chasing a paycheck and now I'm just constantly trying to take care of customers and employees because I know if I do that, then my paycheck will take care of itself.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
The Mike McDonald Show. The first word from the head coach after every Seahawks game.
We want to play a certain way, and you're just going to chisel away at it every day.
Presented by Emerald Queen Casino.
Your business needs a network it can count on.
Power's out.
Comcast Business has you covered with Wi-Fi backup to help keep your business up and running, even when your power goes out.
Everybody in the warehouse good?
Lights are out, but the Wi-Fi's up. Let's power on.
It's from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
Break room, you good?
Can't microwave my burrito, but Wi-Fi's fine. Let's power on.
Power on with the leader in connectivity, Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ask about Wi-Fi backup for your business or get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year contract, plus for a limited time. Ask about an $800 holiday bonus prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to ComcastBusiness.com today. Ins 12/15/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet and security edge. EcoBill and autopay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra.
Do you hear that? These are the sounds of our jeweler's workshop at Shane Company, where they're working their magic to bring beautiful fine jewelry gifts to life. At Shane Company, we love jewelry as much as you do, and we know what it takes to create something special. No matter your budget, we craft our jewelry with expert care to be passed down for generations. With jewelry craftsmen in every store and an unmatched free lifetime warranty, we're here to make sure your jewelry always shines bright. Stop by and shop online at Shanco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
If the playoff picture has you stressed, let us give you something to breathe easy about. Hey, it's Dr. Ryan Stern of the Stern Sinus Center. Let us fix your ear, nose, and throat problems. Let's make your congestion, sinusitis, snoring, and allergies a non-issue. We can diagnose and treat everything, from allergy workups and treatments to modern nasal breathing procedures to advanced balloon sinuplasty. Come see us in Federal Way and Auburn or at sternsinus.com. That's sternsinus.com.
Need to know. Brought to you by Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Well, we could be just a couple days away from the Seahawks being in first place in the NFC West. Seems kind of crazy given how dire the situation seemed just a week ago. But you go to San Francisco, you beat the Niners, and now you got 2 out of 3 games against the division-leading Cardinals, who are... They're good, but do they seem like a runaway winner? No, I mean, they're kind of decent at everything. 12th in scoring offense, 13th in scoring offense, 12th in scoring defense. They're like pretty good at everything, but I don't see them as like a great team.
No, but Kyler Murray is playing some of the best football of his career. And there was the comment that we talked about earlier about how maybe, being injured for most of last season and not being able to play football, maybe that has given him a little perspective that has kind of changed his outlook on football and everything. And bottom line is he's playing well. and this defense is going to get tested. And I think the most encouraging thing that we've seen from the Seahawks over the last couple of weeks, it's not just that they got a huge win that they needed because of the standings, it's that their defense looks like it might be figuring some things out, especially against the run.
Well, that would just be enormously important. I mean, that's what they're supposed to be. Back to Arizona for a moment. Look, I made as much fun of Jonathan Gannon as anybody when he first got hired, and the silly pew-pew and shot plays, and he gave that ridiculous speech about the bus. I mean, like, he seemed like he was going to be a complete disaster. And I got to give him credit. Through the first year and a half, he has been anything but. We asked Gambo about him yesterday.
Well, I'll tell you, we like him. We do a show with him. We do a show with him every week. I mean, he's so different than Cliff, right? I mean, Cliff was this pretty boy with the tight jeans and everything. And Gannon comes in there, he just lets it rip. He's a fun guy to deal with. He's a good leader of men. He's done a really good job with this football team to get them where they are. I mean, guys, they're missing so many key players. No B.J. Ojolari, no Bilal Nichols, no Darius Robinson, no Dennis Gardeck, no Justin Jones, no Jonah Williams. And this team's in first place? Are you kidding me?
They're missing 7 or 8 guys no one's ever heard of, Brady, and they're still in first place.
I don't know if you could name a lot of guys on that team other than the quarterback, named John
Buda Baker.
Buda Baker, and I'm even the running back. I'm even forgetting his name.
James Conner.
James Conner. Thank you. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of household names.
Jr.
Marvin Harrison, but you could still name probably twice as many 49ers and Rams as you could as Cardinals, and yet they're 6-4. I think that's a testament to the fact that the head
he
coach
doesn't
has got them
seem
playing
like a great leader of men, but obviously he's doing quite a bit right. So got to give the guy some credit, and we'll see if the Seahawks can beat the Cardinals, even though the Cardinals are missing all of those players who you've never heard of.
Ever heard of Dennis Gardeck?
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Ojolari?
All right, what's going on with the Mariners? Let's see. Baseball owners meetings going on right now in New York, and there was an article that came out yesterday from Evan Drella to The Athletic, who has been all on top of anything CBA or kind of business media related for Major League Baseball, in addition to all of his other stuff. And I believe he's going to join Bump and Stacy later this week. But he wrote a good article, and it is a little confusing what he says is going on with the Mariners. Essentially, their games are going to be produced by the league this year. They're going to be one of 8 teams that has their games produced by the league. Now, what does that mean? For most of us, nothing. I mean, unless you work behind the scenes at Root or with Mariner games, it probably isn't going to mean anything for your viewing. It's just essentially outsourcing the production of those games, the trucks and all the stuff that kind of goes with producing a Major League Baseball game. As for the distribution, which is what I know a lot of Mariners fans care a lot about, nothing changes here with the distribution. I know the Mariners are still hoping to have a direct-to-consumer digital product that's available hopefully by April, the beginning of this year, but that has not been, finished yet or anything like that. So that's kind of, does that all make sense? I feel like it's a little confusing for folks.
Yeah. Now, do you say that you don't think the broadcast is going to change all that much? Do you think the tone of the broadcast could change at all? And maybe, and not to single the Mariners out, because I think every broadcast is probably like this, but do you think it would maybe be a little less, positive and a little less
it's not about that. No, this is literally the production. This is the trucks, the cameras, all of the stuff behind the scenes, the technical stuff, the technical production. The Mariners do need to go out and hire a couple of broadcasters, right? Dave Sims has now left. We'll see what's going on with Mike Blowers, who wasn't there at the end of the year. So I don't know what that is going to look like. That will certainly change the product, but it's not going to be because of this. And then the big thing for consumers ultimately will be the direct-to-consumer app or whatever it is to just watch, either pay for individual games or pay for a season, but something that will allow you to watch Mariner games without needing a cable or DirecTV or satellite, whatever the case may be, in order to watch what it is they're doing. So that's coming. Just a matter of time, and hopefully it'll be before the season gets underway.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
A couple small moves from the Mariners yesterday. I guess the biggest, they acquire recently DFA'd infielder Austin Shenton, who they had drafted in the 5th round a few years ago. They traded him to Tampa for Diego Castillo, and then they let JT Chargois go in order to make room on the 40-man. Kraken will get back to it tonight at home against Nashville. The Predators are not very good, 6-10-3 this season. I would assume Joey Decord will be back in net. That is everything you need to know. Quarter past every hour here on the Brock and Salk Show. The real crux of that Evan Drellich piece, and it's really well done, is more about baseball's future and how they're going to deal with essentially seeing their largest revenue stream drying up. I mean, we've talked about this a bunch. Those regional sports networks like Root Sports are not as productive as they used to be monetarily because there aren't as many people with cable.
Because people are cord cutting.
People cut the cord. And remember how those things make money is through subscription fees. So for years, baseball has been supplemented by people that didn't watch but had a cable subscription.
Because they were subscribing in order to watch something else.
Yeah, they were subscribing just to have cable.
And the package included Root Sports.
That's right. And so for every one of those people, the Mariners or whatever team it was got X amount of dollars per subscriber per year. It's a lot of money. And it turned out to be the largest revenue stream in all of baseball over the last couple decades. Well, it's gone to nothing. I mean, not to nothing, but it's shrunk significantly. And so this is all about them figuring out what they want to do. And by 2028, they want more of an NBA model where they're dividing up all of these rights digitally, nationally, locally, and they want everyone involved, Disney and Universal and NBC, and they want who else was at those meetings yesterday? Roku and Apple and Amazon, like Hulu. Like they want everybody to take a small piece of it and try to spread it all out that way. And we'll see where it ends up going. They're gonna push for a salary cap. The players are going to revolt, and there is going to be an extended labor stoppage in baseball in a couple of years. They need it, though. They're going to need to, like, totally reset the entirety of the way the game kind of functions business-wise, and I think it's going to take quite some time for them to work that out. We'll see where it goes. All right, back to football. Daniel Jeremiah, who we talk to every Wednesday at 8:30, going to join us next. How many guys out there do love ball? Like Mike McDonald is looking for. We'll ask him that and a whole lot more next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
You didn't think we'd go all the way through all these highlights without playing the game-winning touchdown, right?
Gonna run! 10, 5, Gino! Touchdown! Seahawks!
Dave in the background.
The Dave laugh.
Yeah!
That's pure joy. I can't contain myself.
So much.
And Gino jogged in. I was yelling, run, dog, what you doing? But again, we need to see more of this from Gino. It's an underrated dynamic to his game. There's nothing there. Do what you do.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
Hey, I know it's cold, it's dark, it's windy the last couple days. You don't want to be outside. Man, 2:30, it's basically middle of the night, so getting to the gym is harder, doing anything outside, running, harder. All you want to do, sit on the couch, eat, etc. But, you know, that has consequences. So this is why you got to call Eastside Weight Loss Clinic, so you can enjoy your fall and lose weight using a sustainable program with real healthy food, lifestyle strategies, and, yes, accountability as well. Eastside Weight Loss Clinic, and they know the secret for fast-lasting weight loss. They want to show it to you and share with you. All it takes is a free 15-minute phone consult. I did it. Program was great. Lost 35 pounds in 8 weeks. Really not that hard to do. Great food. Tastes awesome. And it's all real food that you buy at the grocery store. Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. Healthy, sustainable weight loss that works. No gimmicks, no tricks, no drugs, no injections. Call 425-588-0080 or go to eastsideweightlossklinic.com. Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Hey, Seattle. Jaden Schwartz for Techline Roofing. Call Techline Roofing and trust the team I trust. With the strongest warranty in the business, Techline Roofing has you covered. That's TEKLINE roofing.com. Trust Techline.
Hey, are you looking to save on internet and mobile this holiday season? Well, good news. Xfinity is having a Black Friday sale. They have you covered with these great deals. Learn how to get your choice of a 5G phone on Xfinity. Plus, you can also get fast, reliable Xfinity internet with a line of Xfinity Mobile Unlimited for a great low price. So don't wait. Bring home a new 5G phone and get Wi-Fi speeds up to a gig on Xfinity Mobile. That's a big deal, or should I say a gig deal. Now through December 3rd, ask how to get your choice of free 5G phone with an unlimited plus line. Plus, get Xfinity Gigabit internet with free Wi-Fi equipment for only $25 a month for 12 months with no annual contract when you add unlimited mobile. Go to Xfinity.com/Black Friday sale to learn more. Restrictions apply, taxes and fees extra after promo, regular rates apply. Gig Wi-Fi requires Xfinity Gateway. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. Gig speeds available via hotspots to Xfinity Mobile customers only. Reduced speeds after use of monthly data included with your data option. Actual internet speeds and data thresholds may vary.
Guys, your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, weight, and even ED. Schedule your free testosterone level check with the team at Revive Men's Health Seattle. Text the word BOOST, that's BOOST, to 65555 or visit revivemenshealth.com. Message and data rates apply. Message frequency varies. Text help for help and stop to cancel. ReviveMen'sHealth.com/privacy policy for how to opt in. Info will be used, and ReviveMen'sHealth.com/terms of use for terms of service.
I started Davis Law Group in 1994 to fight for the underdog. And as our team has grown, we've stayed true to that mission. Today, Davis Law Group is known for providing excellent service and even better results. Visit WashingtonAccidentBooks.com to get your free book on car accident law.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
Post Malone presents the Big Ass Stadium Tour. 9-time Diamond certified and 16-time Grammy Award nominated phenomenon, Post Malone. His biggest headline tour, live at T-Mobile Park, June 26th. Global superstar Post Malone with Jelly Roll. Pre-sale for City Card members begins Wednesday at noon at livenation.com.
What's your holiday tradition? Now, if you're like me, it involves gathering around a big meal to celebrate. Well, what if there's no food on the table? Hey, it's G. Scott. This year, help someone less fortunate celebrate the holidays by supporting Nourishing Neighbors. The Nourishing Neighbors program provides grocery cards to the people who are the most impacted by food insecurity. So make a donation next time that you're at Safeway and help make sure everyone is welcome at the table for the holidays. Go to nourishingneighbors.com to learn more.
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
This year's ratings of the best TVs just got published, and Samsung, LG, and Sony scored the highest. Also, they warned about the poor performance of the bargain brands promoted at some stores. So where can you get the best deal on the top-rated TVs? At the club? Online? Nope. At Video Only. They've got their better than Black Friday deals on right now. Don't be sorry. Check out Video Only before you buy.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
All right, it must be time for Daniel Jeremiah. Move the Sticks, NFL Network, the whole deal. And he joins us every week at this time. DJ, we're having a hard time getting me and Brock together, though, on Wednesdays. We got Brady Henderson in again. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to see you. Good to see you, Brady.
You as well, DJ.
Coming off a big win here, man. Geno, 2 minutes. Let's start with him. We've been talking a lot about the defense, and we'll come back to them and the offensive line changes and all that. But how good is Geno Smith in these 2-minute situations?
Yeah, he's showing some poise, and that's, you talk about 2 minute and you think about, okay, the operation and, your accuracy, your decision making, being smart. To me, it just comes down to poise. He doesn't look rattled. He looks very calm and comfortable, to the point where you're going to give him a lane with his legs. He's going to take it, and he's going to be able to, just slow his heartbeat down, which I've seen. There's great quarterbacks that look great for 3.5 quarters, and there's quarterbacks who look terrible for 3.5 quarters. That last, you can judge them individually on that end game 2-minute situation. Some of the great quarterbacks aren't very good at it. Some of the average quarterbacks are amazing at it. Geno's just one of those guys. He's very comfortable in those spots.
Yeah, and it's funny, DJ, because the thing I think the Seahawks have wanted to see more from Geno this year is poise and is keeping, his cool in the heat of the moment, which he himself has admitted that, sometimes he hasn't done. In the Buffalo game a couple of weeks was an example, and I think there's a lot of examples that the Seahawks could point to internally where he hasn't done that. But it is interesting that, in the heat of the moment with the game on the line, he seems to be able to do that. I wonder how much of that is also just belief. And, we've heard from Geno enough and we've covered him enough to know that this is a very strong-willed, confident guy. And I'm wondering how much do you think that plays into it in those end-of-game situations?
Yeah, I think it's hard to define, what is it? Is it age? Is it experience? Is it maturity? Is that the way he's just always been wired? I don't know. I don't know exactly the reason why in those late situations, but look, it's literally win or lose. I mean, it's right there on the cusp, and you have some control. Maybe there's something psychologically there about a guy who feels like maybe he hasn't had control in his career. You don't get to control where you go in the draft in a rough situation. You don't get to control whether or not the coach is going to let you play. And in that situation late in the game, it's just kind of maybe a little microcosm example of, hey, this is in my hands now. I control it. Nobody else can have anything to do about it. And the guy's delivered.
It's an interesting spot because in some ways it gets harder, right? There's more pressure on it. Everybody's looking at you. You have to deliver. In other ways, it feels like it gets easier because the defense, for whatever reason, just doesn't seem to play the same way in the final few minutes of games. How big a change do you see when you watch these games in the final couple minutes with the defense?
Well, you're going to get more simplified looks, some of which is just because the pace. You're going to be able to play fast. You're not going to get complex calls on the other side of the ball. You're going to get a little more generic look. And there's an obsession of not that one play. Like, if they're going to beat us, they're going to have to drive the ball. We're not going to let the ball sail over our heads. So it naturally kind of breeds a little more conservative play call as well as a little more conservative approach on the defensive side of the ball.
Should they stop doing that?
I think there's a very strong case. The thing is, there's this is the back of coaches' minds. I firmly believe this. In the back of their minds is, okay, there's different ways we can lose. If we lose and they slowly, push the ball down the field, the offense is going to get some credit for having a prolonged, sustained drive, and it's going to be a little bit minimized in terms of my culpability here in the issue. Now, they throw a 70-yard touchdown over your head because you're playing press coverage, all like a Greg Williams type defensive coordinator. The next day, that's a little different talking point, both written and
I'll tell you what, man.
Radio.
As a fan, as one of those media commentators, if you get beat on the first play of the drive on a 70-yard bomb and then you get a chance to get the ball back yourself, I'd have a lot less problem with that than, letting the other team go all the way down the field and score with 10, 12 seconds left, and then you're out of luck. Like, I know that I get what you're saying. I do think NFL coaches always have the whole back of the mind thing in the front of their mind where it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But I think they're blowing it. And I really, NFL quarterbacks are so freaking good at going down the field at the ends of games that at some point somebody has to make some sort of change to the way they're playing defense in those spots.
Yeah, I think there are some that play a little more true to the way that they've called it earlier in the game, but that is very much the minority. That is just kind of the way that it's always been there. There's a book that maybe the three of us can get together and write on the psychology of coaching in terms of these types of things and how the media might impact that. We used to always complain about it in front offices about coaches who would play maybe the smarter veteran player over the more talented young player, because then if it doesn't go well, they can always say, well, he was where he was supposed to be. He wasn't good enough. Not a coaching problem. It's a player problem. Whereas you get a young athletic player out there and he busts a coverage or makes a mistake. It's like, hey, you got to coach this kid up. What are you doing? How do you let this happen? And then there's blame that falls there. That was always a source of frustration for personnel departments that I was in. And I'm sure it's been that way since the very beginning.
We'll move past coaching, but I do have one other kind of coaching thought, and Brady and I were talking about this earlier, and that is listening to we spent some time yesterday listening to the radio in San Francisco, KNBR, and 95.7 The Game.
You guys are like me. I listen to Dodger talk every time the podcast.
You have to, right? So we went down and listened, and like, oh my gosh, fire Shanahan, and he's the worst, and he's blowing it, and they're toast, and I don't know whether all of that is true or not, and how much of that is exaggerated, but it was kind of dawning on me that Kyle Shanahan has to be, if he was an offensive coordinator, he'd be what, top 3 offensive coordinator in football? Was that fair to say?
Oh, yeah, I think that, especially with track record, history, decade, yeah.
Okay, so maybe number 1, but certainly top 3. I don't know whether he's a top 3, 5, or even 10 head coach with the head coaching skills in the NFL, but the value of that high a quality offensive coordinator seems to make it worth it to NFL teams to have him as a head coach. Is that kind of the way the league has gone?
Yeah, I mean, look at what Ben Johnson's market's going to look like when we get into the offseason. And the thing on Ben Johnson, people said, well, I don't know. He doesn't really have a big presence. I don't know how he'd be as the point man. And then you get to the point where, like, I don't even care about that stuff. Just bring that offense that you're calling with you wherever you go, and we can kind of delegate out some of the other duties of the head coach and deal with maybe some potential shortcomings.
Does that work?
I think when you have special, I think it's not something that's common, but I think there's a few people that transcend it with how good they are, X's and O's wise, that – yeah, I think it can work and has worked in the NFL, but you better be exceptional at it.
DJ, I don't know if a right tackle has ever been talked about more on sports radio than Abe Lucas has been.
Abe Lucas week?
Yes, it is. Than Abe Lucas has been for the last, I don't know, 6-7 months.
Certainly not in a positive way. I think we spent a lot of Jermaine Ifedi time over the years, but none of it was very positive.
Right, none of it in terms of like how much anticipation and when question there has been about when the Seahawks are finally going to get Abe Lucas back. They finally got him back. They also swapped out center with Connor Williams retiring and Oluwatimi in there. I'm just curious what you thought of how that new-look offensive line fared against the 49ers.
Yeah, it was better. It was physical. And that's something we've talked about on here during our visits about the lack of push, the lack of movement at the point of attack. I thought there was more of that in this game. The interesting thing on the Lucas side of things, this is going to sound bad, but I think there might only be 6 to 8 good right tackles in the NFL out of 32 teams. Almost every team is having to hide and cover up and help their right tackle. It's just there's not enough guys to fill that spot. So the bar is not super high. If you can just get a functional right tackle, you're ahead of the curve. You're in the top half of the league if you can get a functional right tackle. And I thought that, just having him back in the lineup, he easily cleared that hurdle.
Could he be one of the 6 to 8?
Yeah, he's got the ability to be one of those guys. Absolutely. It's always funny to me as we start getting closer to the offseason and closer to my time with the draft, is that I'll call a lot of GMs and buddies around the league, and it's pre-free agency and just trying to get they're doing some self-scouting and looking at their own roster. And I'm always like, okay, so what are you shopping for? What are some of the needs you feel are glaring? And it's like, we could really use a right tackle in a corner. And I'm like, yeah, well, so could the other 32 teams.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you there is obviously we've heard a lot about just the lack of quality offensive linemen in general and how much the college game is playing into that. Do you think that issue is more pronounced at right tackle than it is at other positions on the offensive line? And if so, why?
Yeah, I think so, because it's still an island position. The tackles are island positions where you're just going to be exposed. Whereas interior 3, if you're smart and tough, like we always joke, look, if you started for 30+ games in the Big Ten and you were smart and tough, it didn't matter if you're the stiffest guy in the world. You can play. You'll play in the NFL for a decade because you get to play with neighbors. You don't necessarily get to play with neighbors when you're out there at tackle. And left tackle's just been the more athletic primary position from these kids since they were coming out of high school into college and going to the NFL. So those guys, you just get, that's a little more complete player. Whereas a right tackle he's kind of like half left tackle, half guard, like you don't get the complete player there. And athletically, your limitations can get exposed at that spot.
Before we move to the defense, that's 2 great games in a row from Jackson Smith and Jigba. Is this the breakout? Is this real?
I think so. You go back and watch all the targets. It's outside, it's inside, it's working in the middle of the field. It's a couple schemed up plays, but then there's separation, there's catches in traffic. I mean, when you take it all in, it's a complete performance and not something you could just kind of pigeonhole him as, he's slot only. He can only work on some of these little option routes and whip routes. He won a lot of different ways, and that's where the ball was going too. Gino's very confident, very comfortable with him, and that's been a trend that we see continuing. So I think it's real. I think that the takeaways from me going back through that tape was the JSN stuff, which was very positive, and then really the 2 off-ball linebackers playing really, really well. With Tyrese Knight stepping in and doing a really nice job, playing really well as a young player, and then Ernest Jones. We talked about it, but when that trade happened, but I don't know what the deal is with that situation, because he's on 3 teams now, and I've yet to see him play like bad football. He's a good football player, and I don't know why he keeps getting moved. But he played really well in that game.
We've talked a lot about him this week, and I'm going to play you some sound about Coach McDonald talking about him. But when you say he's a good football player, what is it you're seeing on film that makes you say that?
He's got really good eyes. He can run. You're not going to get on the field if you can't run at that position anymore. You just can't. So he's athletic. He can run. You'll see him in coverage, do some nice things. But he's getting that first step. He's getting out there quick because he's seeing it. He's sorting through things. He had a tackle on Purdy in space where Purdy takes off and goes. And a lot of times you kind of get one-on-one in space. Those are they can be ugly tackles. They're kind of falling to the ground. You grab a leg. Those are not easy. I don't care if it's a quarterback, running back, receiver. In space, he just zeroes in on him, chests him up, and puts him right on the ground. Like, he's just a really, really good tackler to go along with having really good eyes.
Does he seem like the kind of player who can elevate others around him? And I ask because, something we heard from Leonard Williams when we were asking him about the issues in run defense, he pointed to sort of, I don't know if he used this exact term, but he was talking about a lack of trust, and guys were sort of trying to do more than their own job because they weren't confident that, guys around them would make the play, and they were trying to do a little bit too much. Is Ernest Jones the kind of guy who could maybe clean some of that stuff up?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's kind of like a vacuum cleaner there at the second level. So, if you can keep him clean and keep guys off of him, especially as he's wearing that bulky arm brace, that's the one maybe piece of kryptonite is he's not going to be able to get off a lot of blocks. But they've done a pretty good job of keeping him clean and then just let him see and sort and fill and make tackles. So, any bad defense, you can find a lack of trust at the center of it because you got guys trying to, make plays that aren't their plays to make. You jump out of gaps, you get cutback runs, you get huge plays. So I do think that's interesting word choice because trust is a big factor in any good defense.
I'm going to play you some sound from Mike McDonald talking about Ernest Jones. It's not going to surprise you at all that Brock and I loved this sound and spent quite a bit of the day yesterday talking about it. I talked about it with Brady earlier today. But Brock was specifically asking Coach about getting to know Ernest Jones, and this is what he said.
Man, I think we're still getting to know him too. But I mean, he's like Cool Hand Luke, man. He's just like super, like he's just steady, poised, loves ball. He's just like we love guys that love football because we're gonna do a lot of it. And if you love it, then like the process will we believe that if we do it right, will take care of itself, and you kind of grow throughout doing it. If you kind of resist the process and like football is not fun to you, and you kind of like you like what football does for you, but you don't like doing football. This isn't a great program for you because we do a lot of it and we're constantly talking it all the time. And so he's one of those guys that loves ball.
Okay. So, let's skip over the fact that that's rare, right? It's more rare than it should be to have guys that truly love ball. And I'll even make the leap and say that it might be more important in McDonald's system than in some others just because of the complexity of the defense and how important it seems to be to him to find guys who want to not just play but really work on it behind the scenes in the film room, X's and O's, etc. As a scout, how hard is it to find those guys, and what do you do to figure out whether or not guys love not just playing, but the action of learning ball?
Yeah, that's literally, you just nailed the question of how do you scout players, because that is the secret sauce of what makes great players, is finding out how much they love football. And we always would joke about it, and I love asking this question to people when I'm talking with personnel friends. Like, what questions do you ask? How do you try and arrive at this information? And who do you talk to? What are the great sources? And I'll just give you examples of the stuff that I learned that benefited me. Was, try and find out if a guy loves football. Well, the coach that you talk to on campus might say he loves football. He loves football as much as anybody I've ever had. Okay, I'm not just going to take you at your word. You know who I'm going to go talk to? I'm going to go talk to the video guy, and I'm going to say, how much extra tape does he watch? The video guys keep longer hours than anybody. When does he leave the facility? Is he around here all the time? And now with the technology, they can give you exact hour counts of how much on his iPad he's watched video throughout the week. So that tells me you're passionate and you love it. If you're spending a lot of time in the facility, in the video, and then if I go down and talk to the strength coach and they say that they've got to kick you out of the weight room because you're always in there and you're always trying to, get healthy and get better for the next game. Like, there's a level of importance to it. One of the other things that I loved, we used to do, is you sit in the combine interview room and you're talking to these guys, and the first part is the background stuff, right? So you're asking them about their family background and what sports they played. And so if you guys can see me, they'll be sitting in the combine room like this. So they're just kind of sitting slouched down like this. And then we go, okay, all right, let's go through some video. We're going to go through some tape, and now we're going to talk football. And you see the guys who love football, they sit up in their chair, they get up in the front of their chair, they kind of, their knees twitching, they're kind of bouncing a little bit, and you're like, this guy legitimately loves this. Like, this is the fun stuff. Now we get to have some fun. And I see it with the Chargers. Derwin James is a great example of that. That's all he wants to talk about. That's all he cares about. He's got incredible energy at practice. Those guys are, they're the key to winning. I mean, you've got to have as many of those guys as you can find.
How many do you need?
Oh, I mean, ideally, I'd like to have one in every meeting room. At every single position, you want to have somebody that has that brings energy and that brings juice and is passionate about it and has a thirst to get better and learn. I don't think this is a football thing either. I think this is, across the board in any sport. You guys know I'm a Padre fan. Like, everybody's like, oh, the Padres have all this talent. Why didn't they win the year before? I'm like, well, I'll tell you what, they got Jackson Merrill came in there, who's got energy out the wazoo, who they said comes as the first one in the building every day and the last one to leave. He can't get enough of it. And that just kind of feeds. That's just kind of contagious. And maybe it's naive to even say this is just a sports thing. It's probably like that in any company as well. You got to have people that are enthusiastic and want to be doing what they're doing.
Yeah, and it seems like Ernest Jones is one of those guys. I imagine that anytime a team makes a trade like that, gives up a fourth-round pick, that's a reflection of what they view as their alternatives in the upcoming draft. And if they're going to trade a draft pick for a guy, that's typically a sign that they don't think there's a whole lot of good players at that position coming up. I'm curious what you think of this upcoming draft for inside linebackers and how much that might have played into the Seahawks' decision with trading for Ernest Jones.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. I'll have a better handle on it as we probably get a little deeper. About a month in, I'll have a better hold on the draft class. It's kind of like January is when I'll have my first thing come out. So this is going to be a busy 6 weeks for me here, jumping in on those guys.
No 7-round mock coming out next week?
Yeah, the 7-round mock is still under construction. I'm going to need some work on that one. But the thing I will say is that off the ball linebackers, there's not many of them every year, It's just in terms of the big-time impact guys. It's not a position that's really stressed at the collegiate level. They just play. They throw as many DBs out there as they want. They could put a linebacker next to his name, but you're playing with a bunch of DBs. So it's not as important in the football world as it once was in terms of at the college level throwing those guys in those spots. We just don't see a ton of them.
Hey, are the Niners done?
I keep going back and forth. I mean, the thing that's the problem is the rest of the division's screwed up and nobody's run away from them. So they're not playing well, but yet there's no separation in the division. So they still have time to put it together and figure it out. They're not playing well. They don't look good, but they're still alive. And you just have that thought of, man, are they just kind of going through the motions? Are they just bored? They've been in the postseason, made so many deep runs. that they're just kind of want to push the fast forward button to get to the playoffs. And that can definitely catch up to you, and you can be in trouble and not make the postseason. But the rest of the division is screwed up and hasn't run away from them while they're in this lull.
So I guess similar question: are the Cardinals for real? Are they good?
I went into that game when they played the Chargers, and in that stadium coming in there thinking this is a team that's probably going to pick in the top 10. Like I did not think, the way they were playing at that point in time, that this was a great football team. And they found something in that Charger game, and they've really hung on to it since, which has been Kyler Murray protecting the football. He does not turn it over. He's making plays with his legs and picking his spots, and he's been impactful in that way. And I'll give Rallis, their DC, a lot of credit. I'll give Gannon a lot of credit on the defensive side of the ball. I think they play above their talent level on defense. They play extremely hard. They have some guys that can run. But, I think if you looked at them up front, you wouldn't go through the scouting report and be scared to death of the individual players. But they play really, really hard. That's a well-coached football team.
Yeah, Kyler Murray had a comment the other day, I think it was after maybe the Jets game, where he completed like 90-something% of his passes. At one point, had 17 completions in a row. And he talked about how, football being taken away from him last season was kind of a impactful experience. And the book on him has always been the guy who's very talented, but maybe doesn't have the kind of desire. And there was obviously that weird, clause in the contract about studying. And I'm just wondering how much you think that could be impacting him as just a different mindset, maybe more of a recommitment to football, perhaps. Is that maybe playing a difference in how he's playing right now?
Yeah, maybe it's just just kind of maturing, just kind of growing up. Everybody, doesn't always on the same path to maturity, and maybe that's just come with a little age. He's been paid, so you kind of get to the point where it's like, what's my motivation here? I've got the money. I've had some individual success, obviously the ultimate individual success at the collegiate level, high school level. Now it's just I feel like he's to the point where it's just about winning, and he wants to be a winner. And I don't know how long that took, or if the light came on, or if this is just kind of a slowly. He's kind of figured that out, but he's playing good football, so that's all I know is you watch him, and he's protecting the football, and he's picking his spots with his legs, and it's a formula that sure is working for him.
I love it. Well, Seahawks could be in first place by the time we talk to you next, as strange as that sounds, right? Beat the Cardinals.
The letter grade goes up, but from a B- to a B+, by the way.
I would hope so. Yeah, that's a pretty good win for them, and certainly the defense played about as well as you'd like them to. DJ, great stuff as always. We will talk to you next week. Have a good week.
I appreciate it. Take care, guys.
All right, there you go. Daniel Jeremiah every week at this time, 8:30 on Wednesdays. And yeah, if you miss it, you get a little replay tomorrow morning at 6:30. Brady, we got to say goodbye.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. Thanks for coming in on a Wednesday.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me.
You're much better on a Wednesday.
You think so?
Yeah, I think you're a little more livelier.
You think so?
Yeah, a little more lively.
The week hasn't worn me down by Friday.
Yeah, you're kind of a hump day kind of guy.
Yeah.
That's not a surprise.
It's all downhill from here.
All right. We'll come back with Washington Wednesday. Brock will join me again and give you a sense as to what the heck is going to happen at quarterback this week, or next week rather, for the Huskies. Stick around. That's next. It's Brock and Salk, Sales Sports on 710.
Blue 88 on Brock and Salk.
Let's talk scheme, Brock. What was the biggest schematic change for the Seahawks?
Every day at 7:45.
Under center and get the ball out. And you get under there, and it's like, yeah, man, here's a 3-step, there's a hitch. Yep, there's 3-step, there's a slant. Yep, we're going to get in the gun, we're going to throw speed outs. They got back to some very, very basic stuff. And getting under center for 32, almost a third of the snaps, that's going to help you.
Blue 88, answering 3 football questions as only Brock Heward can.
Cressy Garage Doors. Stand out from the other homes in your neighborhood. The #1 return on investment for your home. Cressy Garage Doors. Since 1952.
Hey Seattle, Jaden Schwartz for Techline Roofing. Call Techline Roofing and trust the team I trust. With the strongest warranty in the business, Techline Roofing has you covered. That's TEKLINE roofing.com. Trust Techline.
Choose the right flooring for your home, right in your home, with Floor Coverings International. They bring the mobile showroom to you, loaded with samples of carpet, LVP, hardwood, laminate, tile, and more. So you can see the flooring in your light, not just in a store or on a screen. They handle every aspect of installation, ensuring your complete satisfaction. Visit FCIFloors.com and book a free in-home consultation. Floor Coverings International, the stars of flooring.
Direct savings and client focus, the cornerstones of the Diamond Dave philosophy.
Hi, I'm Diamond Dave Cantor. My team and I at Cantor Diamond can be your trusted friends with an inside scoop on the diamond world.
Just like they are to thousands of people around the world.
And just like we have been for over 34 years.
At Cantor Diamond, it's all about the diamonds and the savings, not paying for high-end retail locations or the overhead of a mall.
You stand to save big time with our by appointment professional office approach, combined with direct importing.
When you choose Cantor Diamond, you choose huge savings, top quality, and excellent service. Call, email, or message us for an in-person appointment.
Or sit back and relax for free FedEx shipping anywhere in the USA.
Call Diamond Dave at 253-272-7007. That's 253-272-7007. Or follow them on Instagram at Cantor Diamond. That's at KANTOR Diamond.
Hey, Brock Ewart here with Shannon O'Kelly, President and CEO of IRG Physical and Hand Therapy. And Shannon, we're not just rehabbing injuries anymore. Now we're in the business of speed and performance. Talk to me.
Yeah, Brock, we're really excited. We just opened up our IRG Physical Therapy and Sports Institute in Fremont. It's 5,000 square feet of AstroTurf rubberized flooring. We're not only going to treat your physical therapy conditions, but we're also going to help you as a patient athlete, a recreational athlete, work on strength, speed, explosion, vertical explosion, horizontal explosion. I mean, we're going to create an athlete out of you and get you back to activity at your best.
What was the genesis of this?
Oh, there's a huge need out there. I mean, you talk to people and you start looking at patients that are going through rehab. Rehab is just part of the process, getting people to a point, but then the next point is really doing the strength and function explosion and the athletic training skills that everybody wants and needs.
Schedule online right now at irgpt.com, irgpt.com.
Toyotathon is here at Toyota of Kirkland. To celebrate the event, Toyota of Kirkland has purchased $3 million worth of certified used and pre-owned vehicles on the lot ready for you to test drive and take home. The largest selection of certified used and pre-owned vehicles during Toyotathon can only be found at Toyota of Kirkland. Visit the wonderful team and beautiful showroom at Toyota of Kirkland today or online at toyotaofkirkland.com.
My wife and I always loved doing everything together. Jiu-jitsu, kayaking, and intimacy was always on point. It was around my early 30s when I noticed a downward trend. Watching a lot of TV, putting on weight, and just full of self-doubt. I had tried another men's clinic with disappointing results. It's the personalized treatment I receive at Revive Men's Health that has been the complete game changer for me. I've got my energy and motivation back. I'm feeling stronger than I did in my 20s, and it made me a much better husband to my wife.
This is Dr. Andrew Ellshouse of Revive Men's Health. If you're always feeling tired or moody, or your sleep is poor, you have low libido, you may be suffering from low testosterone.
Book your free T-check and exam. Call Revive Men's Health Seattle at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Are you constantly dealing with a runny nose, nasal congestion, or stuffiness? Always having to clear your throat or coughing? I'm Dr. Ryan Stern with the Stern Sinus Center. Rhine Air is a simple, non-invasive procedure that can significantly reduce your symptoms. This long-lasting treatment is available here in my office. In a clinical study, 88% of Rhine Air patients experience a significant reduction in their symptoms. We're proud the Stern Sinus Center was recently named a nationwide center of excellence. Schedule your appointment in Auburn or Federal Way or go to sternsinus.com.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
This hour is brought to you by Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
Washington Wednesdays. Brought to you by Star Rentals, preferred supplier to the West's best contractors.
All right, here we go, Brock. Washington Wednesday, coming off a huge win, a win you predicted correctly. You're 2 for 2 this year in knowing what this team was going to do. I'll give you all the credit in the world. They beat UCLA, but I wouldn't say created controversy in the process. but definitely made a big question mark about what they're going to do at quarterback.
Yeah, this has just kind of been simmering, all season long. And obviously the Huskies, not what they were a season ago. And we talked about them quite a bit in a 14-0 run to the national championship game and all the stars and everything else. But this has kind of been brewing with the QB situation. And here's Will Rogers, and here's the veteran guy that does know the system, that Salk many times kind of sets you up because of all of his experience, right? He kind of sets you up for success. Games typically, don't get away from them outside of the Penn State game really all year long. You're comfortable with him because he has so much experience. And then you got this young dynamo, Damon Williams, from day one when he enrolled, last spring, and you saw him in the spring. I remember even Damon saying to me, like, hey, man, I know Will's here, but this dude is electric. He's small, but there's some rustle to his arm. He's got a powerful arm. He's unbelievably fast, maybe one of the fastest guys on the team. And kind of thought, well, I think even if you went to some blue 88s back in the spring, like maybe this guy has got a chance to be the starter. And then training camp came, and you felt him overwhelmed, just with the whole breadth of the playbook and all that, is in this pro-style system. And you saw him slow down. You saw him really struggle in scrimmages. You saw him turn it over. And it was like, no, we'll find a way to use him, but there is no way that he can start week one, and not with the soft schedule they had as well. Let's get some wins here at home, feel good about ourselves, and then just kind of watch the rest of the year play itself out. Well, it has. And then it's really hit the fan the last couple weeks. The blowout in Penn State, the struggles in the first half. Damon comes in, leads a couple field goal drives, not overwhelming. And then, Will struggles in the second half, and he kind of made the decision for Jed. This is one of those old, manager things that, we talk about. The managers love opportunities. Like, ooh, I don't want to force it, but when the opportunity presents itself, I'm going to take advantage of it. And for Jed Fish, after back-to-back interceptions by Will Rogers into, dropping 8, not hard stuff to see, stuff he should have seen, yeah, it was time to go with the young guy. And Damon came in 7 of 8, 67 touchdowns, 6 runs, 31 yards. But that doesn't even really tell the story. You felt his presence, and UCLA felt him, right? They were like, whoa, this is a little different. I'm getting home, but I'm not getting home. I'm impacting the pocket like I did to Will, but it's not affecting him because he's scrambling outside of it. So Jed Fish was asked Monday in his presser, what data? How are you going to go about this, Jed? Right? You kind of slow played him all year. You ended up going with Will in this UCLA game. You got to bye this week. Plenty of time to really dig into the data, dig into the numbers. What are going to be the deciding factors when you finish the year against the number 1 team in the country down in Eugene? This is how Jed answered that on Monday.
I'm moving the football. The most important thing we can do is, when we move the football, are we successful getting first downs? Are we in position that we can hold the ball for periods of time where we're not putting our defense back on the field, and then protecting the football? We can't be just giving the ball away. We'll evaluate that. We'll go through that, and we will not announce anything. We will not announce who the starting quarterback is going to be. And we'll go out there next Saturday, a week from Saturday when we play Oregon, and play with one of the 2 quarterbacks.
When he says one of the 2 there,
yeah,
you think that one guy plays the whole game?
Yes.
Well,
yeah,
if
I
that's
think
the case,
it's
then it's
Damon
Williams. I mean,
yes.
Right? I mean,
yes.
He's already shown that if the other kid makes a couple mistakes, he's ready and itchy almost to go to the kid. And by the way, that's the way it should be. I mean, as you describe the 2, if Will Rogers makes mistakes,
yes,
there's no point in having him play.
Correct.
Right? I mean, that's his thing, is that he's not going to make any mistakes and be more of the game manager, et cetera. And I don't use that as a derogatory term at all. But if he's not managing the game well and he's giving the ball away, he doesn't have the upside that the other kid has. You might as well let the other kid at least have some upside and some big plays that come with a few mistakes of youth.
Yeah, how about game facilitator? Like, he's got to be the game facilitator. Sure. And if he's not, well, the other kid can be a game igniter. Like, he can ignite things with people around him. He can influence in so many different ways. And to go to those points, if Jed's going to look at those points of moving the ball, of holding on to the ball, well, then it's really clear. Like, the ball is moved when Damon's been on the field. It moved at Happy Valley. Now, they had to settle for field goals, but they possessed the ball. They moved the ball in ways in the second half there against a team that is a comp to Oregon. a team that's got NFL dudes at every level of that defense, and NFL size and length and speed, all the things that the Oregon Ducks have, and in their building are just unbelievably electric. But if you want the ball moving, and on top of it, ball security, and that's the thing that I've been impressed with DeMond, is 3 touchdowns, no picks. One of the practices that I watched, I mean, it was just it was interception after. I mean, it was just, you could see at that point in August, like this is too much for him.
Mm-hmm.
Not at any moment really, as he's been thrown into the mix, have I felt like, yep, too much for him. 41 carries, 53 passes. He's completing 74%. He's running for over 5 yards a carry. He's getting out of trouble, and there will be trouble if they couldn't block UCLA's front, couldn't block Penn State's front. Well, guess what? You're not going to be able to block Oregon's front. So you're going to have to be creative. You're going to have to move him. You're going to have to use his legs. You're going to have to, option. You're going to have to do some things and everything. To me, I'm not ready on a Washington Wednesday this week to make a proclamation. I'll do that next Washington Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, when they go down to Eugene, a little closer to it. But man, every indicator sure feels like, okay, you got your bowl game. Right? What upside is there here? You got your bowl game. That's in the back pocket now. Go play this guy, because his athleticism at least gives you an opportunity to present some challenges to Oregon.
What would it take to beat Oregon?
Yeah.
On the road. I mean, if it was here, maybe there's a conversation. What would it take to beat them there?
Yeah, it would take obviously it would take Denzel Boston, Jonah Coleman, Carson Bruners, Fabiculanen. It would take Price, like your best players playing their absolute best game, right? So that first and foremost, those guys will have to just be incredible. But so the line of scrimmage is so challenged in this. I mean, it is like to try to present a picture of how they could win. Okay, Dylan Gabriel throws, 3 red zone interceptions. It's a raining sideways monsoon, the nastiest day yet, where it never rains in Eugene, and it doesn't rain. It just, the skies open into a monsoon where, they're fumbling and bumbling and stumbling, and their speed slowed down because of it. So
never rains in Eugene?
That's what they love to say. It never rains in Eugene.
That doesn't seem right.
Stadium. Yeah. That
doesn't sound right at all. All right.
They like to say some of that. Yeah, it'd be hard pressed for me to believe. They'll be 20-something point underdogs at least in a big but I do think at least DeMond gives you a spark and certainly some opportunity to prepare for what's to come down the road.
All right. Well, we'll learn a little more over the course of the next week before Brock's big proclamation a week from today. That's Washington Wednesday. Sure is, and obviously a lot more on that to come next week. We still have a lot more today. In fact, we're moving some things around because Brock's not here. We can't do mean tweets without Brock at 9:45. So
doesn't work.
No. So we're going to move that to tomorrow at 9:45.
There were some good ones this week.
Oh, really? Oh, good. So between mean tweets and tomorrow, we'll have Here's the Thing. So we need people to send in their Here's the Thing messages as well by downloading the app and all that. But today we're going to move things around. So we will do Maura's fantasy forecast today instead of tomorrow at 9:45. So I know she's got some stuff, but you got, 40 minutes or so, not even a half hour, basically, if you want to get questions in for Maura for the fantasy forecast. Any fantasy questions you have leading into this week, text us 866-979-3776, and Maura will put those together and answer them at 9:45. We'll come back with everything you need to know. Shannon Dreyer at 9:30. Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710.
This is Seattle Sports.
Steps up, gonna run, 10, 5, Gino, touchdown, Seahawks, holy catfish, Gino Smith.
I was out there smiling on that last drive, like I walked on the field. I mean, I just kind of felt like angels in the outfield, like somebody just rubbing my shoulders the whole time.
12 seconds left, and the Seahawks take the lead, 19-17. Are you kidding me? No quit in this bunch.
We are the home of the Seahawks.
In the Pacific Northwest, choose Star Rentals for construction equipment. With 18 locations, they deliver superior service and unmatched follow-through. Visit starrentals.com. Star Rentals, the preferred supplier to the West's best contractors.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, Buc-ee's has you covered with available financing. For oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance, it's Buc-ee's Complete Auto. No appointment necessary and financing's available. Check Buc-ee's.com for the location near you.
1-800-5800-TEL.
Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Last year's RV trip, we met a couple with the same bumper sticker. What are the odds?
Your cousin isn't a good storyteller.
He was a podiatrist, or was it a pharmacist? You don't say. Oh, I can't remember.
But she owns an RV protected by Progressive, and you don't. So until you get your own RV, her stories are the most interesting stories you've ever heard.
Wow, interesting.
And when you do get your own RV, save money by bundling it with your home, auto, or other vehicles with Progressive.
Oh, anesthesiologist. He was an anesthesiologist.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
You gotta love football season, but when it comes to your windows and doors, you don't want any fumbles. Steve Rabel here, reminding you to trust locally owned Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington to tackle your project. Their selection of windows and doors can't be beat, and they'll give you top-notch customer service with no trick plays. Right now, get 0% interest for 24 months with equal payments or 40% off qualifying installs. Schedule a free consultation with Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Go to PellaPNW.com.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Seahawks Player Spotlight.
Man, it felt good to go out there and be able to contribute.
Exclusive interviews with your favorite Seahawks.
You know, we got a genius as the head coach.
Every day with Wyman and Bob.
Your business needs a network it can count on.
Power's out.
Comcast Business has you covered with Wi-Fi backup to help keep your business up and running, even when your power goes out.
Everybody in the warehouse good? Lights are out, but the Wi-Fi's up. Let's power on.
It's from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
Break room, you good?
Can't microwave my burrito, but Wi-Fi's fine. Let's power on.
Power on with the leader in connectivity, Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ask about Wi-Fi backup for your business or get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year contract, plus for a limited time. Ask about an $800 holiday bonus prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to ComcastBusiness.com today. Ins 12/15/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet and security edge. EcoBill and autopay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra.
Jake was suffering from osteoarthritis when his doctors asked him to consider surgery.
However, there's a 9-month recovery period where essentially you're not walking and you're not putting much in the way of weight on.
That wasn't going to work for him, so he decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
I heard the ads, and that caused me to do due diligence.
And how are you doing now?
There's not really any pain now at all. I have no limitations in what I want to do.
Wow, so you're able to do anything you want to do?
I recently played golf at Cycle House down in Pebble Beach, walked 18 holes, which I hadn't been able to do for a number of years, and then went for about a 2-mile walk with my friend.
I take it you'd recommend stem cell therapy to others then?
Absolutely. Had I known then what I know now, I would have done this several years ago and saved myself a lot of pain and suffering and agony and limitation to activity.
Before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
need to know. Brought to you by Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Well, this turns into a huge game now on Sunday for the Seahawks. By winning in San Francisco, they set themselves up to put themselves in first place by the end of the weekend. Yeah, you need the Rams to lose to Philly, but Philly's playing some really good ball, and you got to go to Arizona and play a Cardinals team that is in first place, but I don't think anybody thinks these are world beaters. I don't know that they're Super Bowl contenders. So a great opportunity ahead of the Seahawks. Mark Schlereth on yesterday with Wyman and Bob. Pretty darn impressed with what they did in the Bay.
It was impressive, and you think about it. I mean, I thought, hey, man, they get Christian McCaffrey back, second game he's back. He's going to cure the red zone woes, and they're going to score a bunch of points. And to hold them to 17, I thought that was impressive. And then to put an 80-yard drive together at the end of the game to end that thing with that scramble by Geno Smith, I was really impressed with going on the road and doing the things they did, and certainly didn't expect it from the Seahawks, no question about it, and thought the 49ers were going to play their ways back into contention. But very impressive victory by the Seahawks, very impressive final drive by Geno. And, and to me, that pretty much put a nail in the coffin of the 49ers in regards to winning that division and being a playoff team.
I'm still not convinced on that last part. Until the Niners are actually dead and buried, I'm not convinced that they can't find their way back into it. But I understand his point, and they did play some really good ball. And again, the defense is the thing that really has me excited now about where the Seahawks could go, because that's a couple games in a row that they've played defense in that style, and it's improving and it's trending in the right direction. So, yeah, a lot of real positives there. On the other hand, you got a team in Arizona that is playing a whole lot better than expected, and a lot of that comes from their quarterback, Kyler Murray, who is having a season. John Gambo down in Arizona told us this.
We went into the season talking about whether if the Cardinals ended up with the number one pick from either them or the Texans, if they would draft Caleb Williams or Drake May. Because we didn't know what we had in Kyler Murray. He had been here for 5 years, and we weren't sure what we had. He was one of those Jay Cutler-type quarterbacks where, he's not good, but he's not great, but he's not terrible. You didn't know what you had. I think he finally committed to being great. That's all. He's here all the time. He's working out here. He's rehabbing here. I think he finally understood that I can't get by just on natural talent alone.
When he says here, do you think he means his station? What do you mean here? Is he like part of the team in the building? There's nobody more confusing than Gambo. I assume that he just means like in Arizona, but always a bit of a mystery with that guy. In any event, should be a great one on Sunday and a big one for the Seahawks.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
All right, a lot up in the air for the Mariners right now. I mean, gosh, we talk about the moves they've got to make this offseason, talk about the hitting coach, and they still have to get that figured out. But some news coming out yesterday from Evan Drellich of The Athletic, who has been, I believe, at the MLB owners meetings in New York this week, and it's all about what the league is doing with a lot of its broadcast rights, and he has a little note in there about the Mariners. Essentially what it means is that the Mariners are going to be one of 8 teams this year who has their games produced by Major League Baseball. Now, I know people hear that and are, what does that exactly mean? Does that have to do with the way you consume the game? I think for a regular fan, this will have absolutely no impact on your life whatsoever. Doesn't change the distribution, shouldn't change the quality of the product. It really shouldn't do much of anything. They're just outsourcing who does the production for each game. The real news, I think, is still yet to come, and that's waiting to see whether they can do what they'd like to do, which is to build some sort of a direct-to-consumer product where you can buy games either by the game or in packages or for the whole game without needing a cable or satellite or any sort of carrier, that you can, again, buy it direct-to-consumer, and that will ultimately kind of be, I think, the big goal and the big thing that the Mariners need to do. That's not this, but this is a piece along the way, and really it's worth reading just to see kind of where baseball is at with what I think is going to be an incredibly difficult labor fight coming up, based on the fact that their biggest revenue stream has completely changed. They're just no longer the same amount of money in the cable TV networks that there once was, and as that number decreases rapidly, there's going to have to be some sort of change in baseball. This is part of it, trying to figure out the best new ways to bring revenue in, but I still think there's going to be a major labor stoppage in a couple of years as they try to finally go for a salary cap in baseball, and the players are going to outright revolt when that happens.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
All right, Kraken tonight at home against Nashville. Predators are not that great, 6-10-3 on the season, so good opportunity for Seattle to get back on track. I would certainly assume Joey Decord is back in net, but the guy to watch is Shane Wright. He was scratched in the last game, healthy scratch. He did not play much the game before that, only I think 8.5 minutes, and Dan Bilesma spoke to some of the problems with Shane Wright's game right now.
I think it's as the games have gone along here, I think Shane's game has been trending in not the best direction. We talked to him today about his training camp and how good he was playing and how strong he was playing and what he was showing off with his skill and his skating and his ability with the puck. That was super evident in training camp, and as the games have gone along here, it's trended in not the greatest direction. And really the message is take a reset, watch the game tonight, which he did, and get back focused on playing the way you can play and the way you played earlier in the season.
Well, again, there are kind of two ways to see this. One is that's disturbing that you have to have that conversation right now with Shane Wright, who's not done enough in this league to, lose some of that focus, intensity, effort, whatever the case may be. The other is I really love the way Dan Bilesma handles this, right? I mean, I think this is what you want out of your head coach and a guy who's known Shane Wright pretty well, coaching him last year when they were both in Coachella Valley together. Like, did you get this figured out? So go watch from upstairs and take this message to heart. You got to go play harder and then put him right back in there in the next game and see if he's able to get all that done. So that's where the Kraken are at, and that is everything you need to know, 1/4 every hour here on the Brock and Salk Show. Fantasy questions, please, for Maura. We're doing it a day early today, so coming up in 20 minutes, Maura will give you her fantasy forecast. If you have questions about your fantasy lineup and, decisions you've got to make by tomorrow night, you can text us, or really text her, at 866-979-3776, 866-979-3776. We'll do that at 9:45. Before we get there, though, I found myself in a debate. Shannon Dreyer took my piece from last week on the Mariners and what I thought they should do, and she rebutted. She gave me a full-throated rebuttal. Well, it was great. I love Shannon, and I'm excited to chat with her about it. We've obviously argued a little off the air, and we'll do it together on the air next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
You have a problem with people calling what the Seahawks did a lucky win.
There's a lot of people who listen to our show who listen to the post game and they text in, and as soon as the clock hits zeros, people are saying, well, they got lucky. There was no George Kittle. Bosa didn't play. You got to be lucky in the NFL. To just disregard what that defense did, to disregard what JSN did, to disregard Gino's final drive to win the game is nuts to me. Enjoy the win.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
All right, Mike Salk here for my friends at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Got to reiterate, and hotel. After all these years, Snoqualmie's finally about to unveil their new hotel. It's going to be awesome, beautiful place, plus an expanded gaming floor and more restaurants, bigger space. It's just going to be awesome. It was the only thing that was missing from a phenomenal experience every time I'm at Snoqualmie. Great place to watch sports, unwind, maybe everything else that goes with watching sports as well. Well, go check out all the details at snocasino.com, because this is just a couple weeks away from opening up with the new hotel. It's only 30 minutes from downtown. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Hanging up your lights can be a tangly mess. Leave it up to us and save yourself the stress. We'll install our lights, they're custom fit to you. We do residential and commercial too. So call Seattle Holiday Lights. We'll hang them up, we'll take them down, we'll do it right. So call Seattle Holiday Lights. Seattle Holiday Lights. Visit SeattleHolidayLights.com.
I don't want to dig up my yard if I don't have to. That's why I hired O'Neill Plumbing. They're Seattle's trenchless plumbing pros. All rooter, all trenchless, always professional. O'Neill Plumbing since 1917.
12's Your Seattle Seahawks return to Lumen Field Sunday, November 24th to take on the Arizona Cardinals during our annual Salute to Service game. Tickets are available now at Seahawks.com.
So here's the deal with Mariners season ticket memberships. You've got two great options. With a Flex membership, you have the freedom to pick your seats, games, and number of tickets whenever you want. Or if you like knowing where you're sitting all season long, go with a reserved membership and lock in your seats from day one. Both plans get you access to exclusive pre-sales, year-round discounts, special event invites, and more. Check it out at mariners.com/25.
Now Raleigh wins it in the 10th inning for the Mariners.
Hey, are you looking to save on internet and mobile this holiday season? Well, good news. Xfinity is having a Black Friday sale. They have you covered with these great deals. Learn how to get your choice of a 5G phone on Xfinity. Plus, you can also get fast, reliable Xfinity internet with a line of Xfinity Mobile Unlimited for a great low price. So don't wait. Bring home a new 5G phone and get Wi-Fi speeds up to a gig on Xfinity Mobile. That's a big deal. Or should I say a gig deal? Now through December 3rd, ask how to get your choice of free 5G phone with an unlimited plus line. Plus, get Xfinity Gigabit internet with free Wi-Fi equipment for only $25 a month for 12 months with no annual contract when you add unlimited mobile. Go to Xfinity.com/Black Friday sale to learn more. Restrictions apply, taxes and fees extra after promo, regular rates apply. Gig Wi-Fi requires Xfinity Gateway. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. Gig speeds available via hotspots to Xfinity Mobile customers only. Reduced speeds after use of monthly data included with your data option. Actual internet speeds and data thresholds may vary.
The holidays are a magical time to get engaged. At Shane Company, we're here to help you create your dream engagement ring in just 3 easy steps. Choose a setting that speaks to your style. Compare diamonds and colorful gemstones in all shapes and sizes. Then personalize it with a decorative crown and special engraving. Or choose a perfectly preset ring that's ready to go. At Shane Company, you'll find everyday competitive prices, a no-pressure environment, and an unmatched free lifetime warranty. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
4 down territory, going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bumpin' Stacy.
And this week's First Mark Challenge victory goes to Lonnie. Lonnie, why did you call First Mark Insurance?
We'd been with the same insurance company for over 32 years. And my husband said, come on, let's at least try it. And that was the smartest thing we ever did because we saved thousands, literally thousands a year on our insurance. They improved it. It cost me less, and it was a higher value. You know, I can't say enough good things about Scott because everything that he said he'd do, he did.
What do you tell your friends they can expect when they make the call to First Mark?
An easy, profitable, and actually pleasant call. They genuinely are trying to help you, and you can't beat that. We were silly to wait so long. A couple other friends that have called, too, they said, why didn't you tell us about this sooner?
You see, Lonnie did it. My family did it. You got to do it, and it's totally free. Go take the First Mark Challenge today. See how much they can save you and how much better your coverage will get. Maybe you will be our next First Mark Challenge victory. Go to firstmarkinsurance.com.
I was having trouble getting up and down my stairs at home. And I thought, well, this isn't going to work because how am I going to go to Utah and do some hiking?
When Judy came to Sound Pain Solutions, her knee pain was preventing her from enjoying an active lifestyle. She was diagnosed with osteoarthritis. She tried numerous treatments and was told she should have surgery. I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic neurologist at Sound Pain Solutions. We were able to get Judy back to hiking with our comprehensive, non-surgical, and drug-free treatment.
I think that the Trigenics that they do along with the adjustment, the pressure wave, and the PRP are the best options for joint pain. And I would really recommend it to anybody who is suffering from joint pain and would like to avoid surgery.
Schedule a free consultation to learn if you qualify for our safe, drug-free, non-surgical treatment by calling Sound Pain Solutions or visiting soundpainsolutions.com.
This hour is brought to you by Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
I see some questions in here for Maura for 9:45. If you got a little time here in the next 15 minutes and you've got fantasy questions for your team for this weekend, now is the time. We're going to do it a day earlier today, and Maura will answer whatever fantasy football questions you have coming up in 15 minutes. Before we do that, Man, I've been rebutted. I had something to say last week, and then I flip on the website, seattlesports.com, and there's my friend Shannon just attacking me ruthlessly, telling me that everything I thought was wrong, and so we better chat today. Hi, Shannon. How are you?
Yes, I'd had enough, Mike.
Finally.
No.
And then Shannon, jokes aside, Shannon knows, just to set this up, last week I wrote a piece saying, God, I don't really want to write this, but I do think it's finally time for the Seahawks, for the Mariners, I've been talking about the Seahawks all day, for the Mariners to trade one of their pitchers. And the essential argument is the pitching's great, it's dominant. Could it still be good enough and still even potentially great with an average fifth starter and, whatever great bat you could get back from trading one of the starters? I don't know that I feel good about it, but I'm willing to at least advocate for it. And Shannon writes a great piece, which you can read at seattlesports.com, essentially saying, not so much, Mike. So what's the crux of the argument?
Well, there, I think, are many reasons why it's not a comfortable thing to do, and that I think it's probably not the right thing to do right now. And it can go from, what they are built to be. I think one of the interesting points you had is that you would hope that they could do something that would be more beneficial and bring more balance to the roster. But the problem is that this roster is never going to be balanced, nor will it be meant to be or designed to be, as long as they're in the ballpark the way that it is configured. It can't be. And I think that that's one of the interesting things with this team is that they really are kind of looking into even further than they ever have before what's happening, what the ballpark is doing, what can you do about it. And right now what you can do about it is play to its strengths, and that is the pitching. And it's not an easy thing to do. It doesn't mean that any pitcher that you're going to put in there is going to turn into what we have seen over the last 2 years, but they have developed some incredible pitching. They have put a really nice anchor in Luis Castillo in that rotation, and it is their strength. And I think that if you are taking away from that strength, I think that you are really, really rolling the dice. And if you are going to go after hitting, not only are you rolling the dice on, well, who do you get? It's how do they perform? Because there's not been a lot of success about that. And a lot of that may have to do with the ballpark, and they're trying to figure out how to better coach to it. But like it or not, that ballpark plays differently for 2 months. It has effects on players. Is it going to have an effect on a veteran that comes in? Is it going to have an effect on a young player that comes in? Do you really want to take that choice? Why do you go against something that you have that is your backbone right now? And then the other two other, smaller but important points. My biggest fear of this is that if you do trade one, if you lose a starter, then you are basically down to 3 of your great pitchers. Mm-hmm. And I'm not convinced league average is going to do it. That's going to balance that equation. And the other thing, if you're looking to trade them, it's a trade that I think that you have to win. And this is not a good off season to do it with pitching, because there is so much pitching, including really good pitching, available on the free agent market.
So that last point is the one that I think is the best of all of those. Like, if you're if you're going to make a deal to trade your pitcher, this isn't a must-do for the Mariners. So obviously, in any situation, you are still the one in control. You can always not trade a pitcher. So you would need the right deal. And if this isn't the right offseason for it and the market is flooded, then, you obviously have to take that into consideration. If the right deal isn't there, you can't get one done. The point about the injuries, look, everyone would be scared about that, myself included. The question is, can you, with more offense, sustain some of that? I mean, we watched the Dodgers lose 10 pitchers this year. I'm not saying that you would have anything close to the Dodgers in terms of the depth or the bats, but by the time they made it to the playoffs, they essentially had 2 good starting pitchers. You would still at least start the year with 4 and still have guys in the minors that you like quite a bit, and still have the ability to go out and trade for somebody if you had to mid-season if somebody went down, like we saw the Dodgers do with Jack Flaherty.
Well, I think a big flaw there is that when you're looking down to pitchers that you like in the minor leagues, Logan Evans, when he comes up, is not going to be Logan Gilbert or Bryce Miller or even Brian Wu right off the bat when you need him. And he has also not thrown a ton of innings. He's thrown 110. Mm-hmm. under 110 last year. So you want him to come in a crucial time and pitch crucial innings when he hasn't done that before? It doesn't happen.
I don't want him to, but he'd be my fifth starter. I mean, like, I'm not looking at those guys to be my studs.
No, I'm talking about the injury at that point.
Yeah.
If there's an injury, then he is your fifth starter, and your fourth starter is a guy. You've gone from 5 number ones to a guy and a rookie that you have no idea that's never done this before, and how long they're going to be able to last and what to do. And you're taking that, you're taking your biggest strength away, and you are really hurting it at that point. It's going to take a lot of offense.
Yeah, and we saw what that looked like too, Shannon. To back up your point, I know I'm supposed to be arguing with you, but it's hard because I think you make such great points in this piece. And even as I was writing mine last week, I was like finding myself arguing with myself as I was writing, like, wow, you could write this article the other way and kind of say something completely different. We saw what that looked like with Chris Flexen, and like we've seen league average or below league average pitching and what it does to this team. It can really be debilitating when you're watching those guys start, once every 5 days.
It can, and I think that one of the things that you also have to take a look at it, what makes that rotation so good, it's the parts, yes, but it's also the sum of the parts.
Mm-hmm.
That it is, this is something that not only can end a losing streak, but can really, get things going and keep a winning streak going. And it's one of those ones where I remember that, when they would have one or two top pitchers, say Felix and Asashi Wakuma, you would go in and teams would be like looking at on the other side, okay, we got to get the first guy because we're not going to get the second or the third guy. There are times when the Mariners go in where they're just like, well, what do we do? And it's not the starting pitching that has been the problem. It has been the offense. And I think that one of the things that I kind of look at when you look at this kind of the sum of the parts and the ballpark, I think one of the reasons why they had, and we've talked about this quite a bit, they had a lot of success the last 5-6 weeks of the season. And yes, they did do some things differently, and there's credit that should go around to all sorts of spots. But the players that you brought in from the outside came in during the season, not in those first 2 months. And I think there might be something to that and why it took Randy Arozarena a little bit while to get going, but he did. Why Justin Turner was seamless. He was Justin Turner when he came in. Was it because they came in the middle of the season? They didn't come in at the beginning of the season like so many free agent or even trade acquisitions do and just get crushed by the ballpark. And, I'm not just saying that. I've talked to people in other teams. I've talked to people in the organization and, why? Why is it not working? Why, when they bring hitters over here, what happens? And a lot of people answer they think it just gets into their head.
Mm-hmm.
You hit that one, but you come out of spring training, everything is great. You hit that one ball that is 5 rows deep in the seats, and it doesn't even make it to the warning track. And that is something that can really kind of grind on the player, and that can happen for 2 months. And so, for me, I think, let me ask you this. Do you think that the offense is further along right now this year at this time than it was a year ago?
No, not a lot. I mean, I do like the outfield, obviously, and the assumption has to be that Julio is going to be better than he was last year, because if he's not, this whole conversation is essentially a moot point, right? You have to assume that you're getting the Julio that we all expect to get and not the guy that we saw for too much of last season. So the outfield, yes, I'm a Arozarena fan. Obviously, what Victor Robles did last year was incredible. Is it sustainable? I'm worried about it, but I was absolutely psyched to see the Zips projection from my guy Dan Szymborski yesterday show that he does think Victor Robles is pretty sustainable. I think he had him as a 3 or 4 win player this season, which is phenomenal.
He's a great fit for the park. He is probably the ideal fit for the park.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, like, those things I think are great. I think you got a legitimate problem at second, a legitimate problem at third, and I'm real worried about shortstop and DH. And until you fix like those 4 problems, and that's being pretty generous at first base, I don't know how far along the offense can really be. I mean, you're counting right now on Dylan Moore as a starter every day. You're counting on Josh Rojas, who after May was really not a good player.
They're going to make moves, and the question is what kind of move do they have to make? They have to get guys. They're simply saying we need guys that are good at these positions.
But when I hear Yohan Moncada as the first name listed, it's real hard for me to say, okay, they're making moves that are going to make them significantly better. Now, that's not to say that's going to be the only type of move they make, but I need to hear a whole lot more than Yohan Moncada before I believe that they're making that offense significantly improved.
Well, there's a lot of off-season to go right now, but to me, the equation, and they've done this. They ran all of this last year. They did not want to have to trade a starter last year, but because of the financial situation that they were in and some other things, it had to be on the table, and they had to explore it. And they had, when all was said and done, they didn't see the value. And when I mean value, if we're giving up this on the pitching end, how do we get more on the hitting end? They didn't see it. And I see it even less this year because of the market.
The one thing I would say,
I think that you have to win. And at the very least, you have to get the offensive. I mean, you cannot get this one wrong. And the safest bet right now is to hold on to the starting pitching. They are much more projectable. You've had much more success with them. And that's not saying don't do anything in those positions that you're that you're talking about. And if they don't do anything, and then, all bets are off. Absolutely, you should have traded a pitcher. But the indication is that they're going to, at least pick up 2 infield arms. The other piece of that post that I put up is I really think they need another leverage reliever, too. I think, that is it was at times as accountable for some of the losses they shouldn't have had as the offense was.
Well, you and I see that 100% the same. I mean, totally 1,000% agree on the bullpen stuff. And I'm concerned about Andres Munoz next year as well, and wondering whether or not that's a direction you want to continue to go down. But you and I see that 100% the same. Where I'll disagree with you a little bit is last year when you were talking about trading pitching, you were talking almost exclusively about trading either Wu or Miller, neither of whom had established themselves as well as they have now. To me, the conversation isn't about trading one of those two guys now. It's probably more about someone like George Kirby. And I do think the value you get back for George Kirby is in a different category than what you could have gotten a year ago for Wu or Miller.
Yeah, Kirby, again, though, I think the subtraction from the sum that we're talking about would hurt. And it's funny because I think that there was some disappointment in what he did this year. He was their top WAR pitcher this year, which, there is sometimes value that you don't see, kind of like there is with your guy, Luis Castillo.
He is my guy.
And he is your guy. And so, he kind of falls into that category. Yeah, I think it would be hard to get his value, which will be more to the Mariners than it will be to anyone else. And I'm not, what we saw last year, do we see improvement from that? Was that his stumble or is that who he is? I'd rather find out than gamble that. The one that I think that, if you could trade George Kirby and if you could get a bat, and it can't be somebody that you think – somebody tweeted back, I don't want to trade a pitcher for 2 Jared Kelnicks.
Yeah, that's not the idea. Again, when I told you –
it has – yeah, it's – who are the names that you were looking for?
Well, the name that came up when I asked a guy in Boston about it was someone like Jarren Duran. And, straight up, Kirby for Duran. I don't know if the Red Sox do that move, but that was from a pretty good reporter in Boston. I'm like, yeah, I would do that. I would make that. I would make that trade.
Yeah, that is easier for you than it is for me. I'm not sure the value actually evens out at that point, especially if you're trading for an outfielder right now and you still have all the infield needs that you have. And I'm sure you come back where you can obviously trade one of your outfielders.
Yeah.
Outfielders at that point, but it's actually going to be a challenge to get infielders this year. And the other thing that gets missed in all of this is you've got a heck of a farm system right now. I don't see why you should have to trade a starter for something that can help for multiple pieces.
No, that's a good point.
Help this team.
You're absolutely right about that.
Does it have to be a Jarren Duran, or can it be a significant improvement at 2 spots in the infield? And there are different price tags for both of those. So that's, I by no means am saying, you should hold on to everybody and roll it over to next year. No, you've got to add to it. There's no question about it. But a lot of times when we have talked about these big trades and having to give up something that you don't want to give up, they've turned around and made another trade with pieces from the farm system that looks good at the time. And, it then kind of falls into sometimes, well, there's the park, it's hurting, or this doesn't work out, or that doesn't work out. I do think with the farm system that they have, they should be able to do some significant things. And I look at it, and right now there are 3 players that I would hate to see go out of the farm system. You know what that tells me? You need to trade one of them because you'll still have 2 at that point. That tells me that you're getting a little bit greedy when that happens. That's assuming that there are takers for these players. And I don't know exactly what the market is, but I would be much, much, much more comfortable trading prospects right now in a year that, and we've said this the last few years, you have to win. You have to get it right this year. But it really feels like that right now. I'd feel a lot better about that than taking away from what has been your greatest strength and knowing that you might actually be weakened more should anything happen. You cannot take the health of this staff for granted.
Shannon?
They've been very fortunate. They've worked very hard to get to it. And that is a near impossible thing to maintain in MLB.
Well argued, as always. Great piece. You guys can go read it at seattlesports.com. You can read them both. Decide which direction you think the Mariners should go. Shannon, always a pleasure and always fun and love arguing. I like arguing with you more off the air than I do on the air, but either way, it's super fun. And it's good to catch up this morning. We'll talk soon.
All right. See you soon.
There you go. The great Shannon Dreyer, our Mariners insider. Go read her piece at seattlesports.com. I know. I still think they should make a trade, but she's pretty convincing. Shannon makes some really great points. Like, I don't disagree with anything she said, really. I just still think they should do it. I still think that if you can find the right bat, you got to go ahead and make a move.
By the way, you like the Zips projections, but not the NFL playoff projections?
Yeah. Absolutely. Totally different. 1,000% different. I'll explain tomorrow. I don't want to take any more time away from more. It's time for the fantasy forecast.
Fantasy football forecast with Maura Dooley.
Every time makes me
What do we got this week, Maura? I'm sorry it's early. It's Wednesday, but,
That's all right.
we have to be flexible.
I think everyone's ready for Thursday Night Football tomorrow, so we'll get started. Usually I like to start out with giving you a couple of guys that you could look for if you need help with your roster. So the first one I have is Vikings running back Cam Akers. He was traded to the Vikings from the Texans about a month ago. He's starting to carve out more of a role. He had double-digit carries in each of their last 2 games, and they could be leaning on him more heavily because lead back Aaron Jones is dealing with a rib injury. He posted 11 fantasy points last week. This week, the Vikings face a Chicago defense that's given up 9 rushing touchdowns and an average of 23 fantasy points a game to the position. So I like him. Trey Benson from Arizona is another one that started to see an increase in carries the last couple of weeks. And James Conner, the lead back there, kind of has a history of not playing full seasons, so he may be someone good to stash. Also, Will Dissly starting to heat up for the Chargers. So tight end is a position that's kind of barren in fantasy football if you're in need there. Yeah.
Because Kelsey's not as good this year, right? And obviously Kittle's like it's kind of some turnover time for some of those tight ends, right?
Yeah,
some of the older guys.
A lot of guys that are really inconsistent. So
how are you doing with Mark Andrews these days? I know there was a whole up and down Mark Andrews
I did
thing.
something that I tell people not to do, and I freaked out a little early and dropped him because he had 2 weeks with 0 points early on, and he's been a little better. I shouldn't have probably dropped him, but it's all right.
Okay.
I got a guy. I got Dalton Schultz. You're like, yeah, great.
Sweet.
All right, we'll get to questions.
Is that working out for you?
He's decent.
See the guy who sort of looks like RoboCop?
I don't know what RoboCop looks like.
I'll look him up. I think I got the right guy.
Well, there are other tight ends, Jake Ferguson. Maybe you're thinking of him. I don't know.
I'm not thinking of Jake Ferguson because I've never heard that name before.
Oh, welcome to the fantasy football segment. That's right on cue.
All right, 360 says for tight ends, they want to know Arizona's Trey McBride or Kansas City's Travis Kelce. After 3 straight weeks of scoring 20 PPR points or more, Kelce had a dud of a game last week against Buffalo. He only had 2 catches. But I like him to bounce back this week because they're playing the Panthers, who are giving up the second most fantasy points to tight ends. McBride has also been super consistent. If you have both, you're looking pretty good because he's had double-digit PPR games in all but 2 of his performances this year. But I think Kelce has more upside this week. Let's see. Scott in Tennessee says, Maura, normally I would never put 2 receivers from the same team in my starting lineup for fantasy. But would you go with DK and JSN or replace them with either Tyreek Hill, Zay Flowers, or Ladd McConkey.
You don't want two guys from the same team? Is that just like too risky?
I've never been opposed to that. I've done it before.
Oh, okay.
It just depends on who the guys are. But where they are right now, I'm not opposed to starting DK and JSN. Zay Flowers has been up and down. He's had some big games, but he worries me because sometimes he only has 1 or 2 catches, so it's like that hit or miss. Ladd McConkey has a pretty good matchup this week, but I would not be mad at starting DK and JSN. We had a lot of similar questions to that.
What if you were gonna start Ladd McConkey because you believed in it? Would you start DK or JSN opposite him this week?
Like which of DK and JSN?
Yeah.
It seems like JSN's the hot hand, but I really think that was DK's first game back from injury. He's been the guy you want to start in fantasy this year. I'd probably give DK the edge over JSN, but I think they're both start worthy this week. Hopefully for the rest of the season, because that'll be very good for the Seahawks. Let's see. We've got Laura saying, help me, Maura. My dreams of a fantasy championship are quickly fading. Who should I start for defense? Baltimore, who's been pretty consistent, versus the Chargers, or Tampa Bay, whose defense hasn't performed well, versus the Giants with Tommy DeVito.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's got the right idea here. The Chargers offense is rolling, and the Ravens secondary has been a bit of an issue. Tampa doesn't have the best secondary either, but they're facing a flailing Giants team with Tommy DeVito. I think I would go with them this week.
Okay. Can I read you one that just came in? I'm just curious what this means.
Mm-hmm.
Mora, I have Goff, Monty, and Sun God. Is that too many Lions? Is that a misspelling, or do the Lions have somebody nicknamed Sun God?
Amon-Ra St. Brown is nicknamed the Sun God.
It is? Oh, that makes perfect sense because of the Ra.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I see, this is the best thing that's come with this segment. I love it. They call him the Sun God?
The more you know.
I didn't even think about that. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. You don't have to answer the question. I was just curious about the Sun God.
Let's see. They are playing the Colts this week.
There's no such thing as too many Lions, is there?
Yeah,
They're freaking unbelievable.
The Colts defense isn't really standout at anything. They're maybe a little bit better against wide receivers, but Amon-Ra St. Brown's a must-start. I think at this point, Amon-Ra St. Brown and David Montgomery are must-starts. So Goff would be the only question mark, but I say start him.
All right. Good stuff.
Unless you have a better quarterback option.
You got one more, or is that it for the fantasy forecast this week?
Let's see. I have one. 509, again, asking if JSN is a viable flex option, even with DK as one of his top 2. He's also got J.K. Dobbins, Tank Dell, and Jameson Williams. I would probably still start J.K. Dobbins and maybe not Tank Dell or Jameson Williams over JSN. But
okay.
Yeah.
So you got some decisions to make.
Yeah.
And thankfully you got an extra day to make them. So
thankfully the Seahawks are making things a little harder on fantasy football players because there's some options.
Good.
In the receiving core now.
Good. All right. Well, thank you, Maura. Great stuff as always. Good day today. Brady, Shannon, Maura, DJ. You'll hear DJ again tomorrow morning. That sounds like G. Scott's going to be in early tomorrow instead of Friday. We're working on Mark Sanchez for later this week. So we got a bunch of stuff going on here before the Seahawks take on the Cardinals on Sunday. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Brock will be back with us tomorrow as well. Bump and Stacy are coming up next. And until tomorrow, the hay is in the barn. See you, everybody.
Get to the chopper!
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
You didn't think we'd go all the way through all these highlights without playing the game-winning touchdown, right?
Gonna run! 10, 5, Gino! Touchdown! Seahawks!
Dave in the background.
The Dave laugh.
Yeah!
That's pure joy. I can't contain myself.
I love it so much.
And Gino jogged in. I was yelling,
Yeah.
Run, dog, what you doing? But again, we need to see more of this from Gino. It's an underrated dynamic to his game. There's nothing there. Do what you do.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
Get in zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road. Get in zone, AutoZone. So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone. Get in zone, AutoZone. And what about my old battery? we can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
To all you tool people out there, has Harbor Freight got a deal for you? Big savings every single day this November. Because we know that right now, when the price of everything only seems to go up, you need a place where prices stay low. So shop in-store or online for quality tools you can trust at prices you'll love every day. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Cressy Garage Doors. Make your home unique and stylish. Have it stand out from the other homes in your neighborhood. The #1 return on investment for your home. Cressy Garage Doors. Since 1952.
Hey Seahawks fans, Tyler Lockett from Brown Bear Car Wash. We've got the perfect play for a spotless car. With the unlimited wash